Monsters. They are the relentless enemies of humanity, creatures that attack, destroy, and devour entire civilizations, leaving only desolation in their wake. Yet, before those brave souls who choose to confront these monstrous threats, there are only two distinct paths they can embark upon. One is the path of mages, individuals capable of wielding supernatural miracles, summoning powerful enchantments to turn the tide of battle. Their magic manifests as brilliant, cutting energy, striking down even the most formidable beasts with devastating force. With fierce roars, the dragon attempts to retaliate, but the magical slashes relentlessly impact its hide, each hit resonating with a sharp, metallic cling. The other is the path of the swordsman, warriors who cultivate supernatural skills within their own bodies, refining their sword energy to achieve unparalleled might. With a precise and powerful strike, the swordsman's blade pierces the dragon's chest, glowing brightly as it penetrates the beast's defenses. The dragon erupts in a blinding explosion of fire and light, signifying the overwhelming power of the swordsman's final blow. Once a path is chosen, the stakes are absolute. One either succumbs to powerlessness, falling before the overwhelming might of the monsters, or they rise above, demonstrating a mastery that transcends mere skill, leaving their adversaries defeated in their wake. Oscar, a true master of the blade, moves with unmatched speed and precision, his swords carving through the air with a golden aura of power. He launches himself directly at the colossal dragon, a single, determined figure against a titan, ready to deliver a decisive blow. The dragon lets out a furious roar, its single visible eye burning with rage as Oscar closes in for the kill. In the dragon's eye, Oscar's reflection shines, a testament to his unwavering resolve as he prepares to strike. Having vanquished the monstrous threat, Oscar stands tall, the shadow of the defeated dragon looming behind him, a symbol of his overwhelming strength. Indeed, he has mastered his chosen path, transcending mere swordsmanship to become something more, a true sword saint. He is known across the lands as Lord Oscar, the formidable sword saint. The villagers express their profound gratitude, surprised that Lord Oscar would journey to such a remote frontier to offer his aid, thanking him for his timely intervention. With calm confidence, Oscar assures them, stating that they should simply leave the rest to him. As Oscar strides forward, the villagers look on with a mix of awe and relief, their expressions reflecting their trust in his words. He passes a man comforting a sobbing child, a poignant scene that stirs a deep, personal reflection within Oscar, a silent eye hanging in the air. He reflects on his journey, how as a swordsman, he rose to the highest rank, achieving the pinnacle of his chosen path. A child's voice from a memory echoes, exclaiming, "Wow, pretty!" at a display of magic, a stark contrast to Oscar's current path. A vivid flashback, a man explains to a young lady, "This is called magic," as Oscar observes, a quiet observer of the mystical arts. Oscar's eyes, wide with wonder, gaze upon the shimmering magical sparkles, a longing for such power clearly visible in his youthful face. He acknowledges internally that he has indeed become someone others look up to, a figure of hope and admiration. This realization brings him back to the longing he felt for magic in his childhood, a dream that eventually led him down a different, yet equally powerful, path. Despite his youthful fascination with magic, Oscar's hands are now firmly clasped around a wooden sword, ready to endure rigorous training amidst towering, snow-capped mountains. With fierce determination, Oscar practices his sword swings, each strike a blur of motion, demonstrating the sheer intensity of his dedication. From a distance, Elder Chun and Lily Lowell observe Oscar's training, a deep hollow in the ground bearing witness to his relentless effort. Lily Lowell asks if their Meister trains here every morning, to which Elder Chun confirms that when Oscar is present, he never misses a single session. He adds that this very spot was once flat land when Oscar was merely a sword guide. Elder Chun further explains that Oscar's day-after-day training gradually caused the ground to sink, creating this massive hollow. Lily Lowell gasps in disbelief, uttering, "And no way." Lily Lowell's eyes widen in sheer astonishment, a visible gulp indicating her shock at the revelation of Oscar's incredible power. Changing the subject, Elder Chun points to something new, asking, "By the way, what's that thing?" Lily Lowell, startled, then realizes, "Oh right." Elder Chun calls out to Oscar, alerting him to their presence and the new development. Elder Chun rushes towards Oscar, holding up a rolled-up letter, announcing, "It's a letter from the capital." As Oscar takes the letter and begins to read, Lily Lowell anxiously asks, Is it something unpleasant?" The contents of the letter remain a mystery, hinting at future challenges. Oscar, with a weary smile, reveals the news of a medal for his dragon-slaying feat, yet his relief is overshadowed by the exhaustion of constant summonings, a burden he wishes others understood. He voices his frustration with petty factional strife, lamenting the impossibility of proper training in such an environment. The brown-haired man looks on, a silent question in his eyes. The brown-haired man, looking up at Oscar with admiration, observes that his Meister truly loves swords. Oscar corrects the assumption, revealing he chose the sword not out of love, but because his father, a renowned sword guide, instructed him to. The brown-haired man reacts with a puzzled, huh. Oscar acknowledges his path wasn't entirely his own choice. The brown-haired man, looking downcast, admits he envies Oscar's innate talent for the sword. Brown-haired man reveals he enrolled in the Sword Academy by choice, but expresses a deep worry that without a sword, he might lose his own inherent talent. An intricate diagram illustrates that both mages and swordsmen draw power from internal energy circuits, but these two forces are fundamentally contradictory. Forcing one into a body saturated with the other would cause the circuits to overload and the body to disintegrate. The brown-haired man reflects on the profound choice between becoming a swordsman or a mage, acknowledging its life-altering implications. With a reassuring hand on the brown-haired man's shoulder, Oscar advises him to stop worrying and simply swing his sword, sharing that this simple dedication led him to his current standing. Brown-haired man, with a renewed sense of determination and a slight blush, simply responds, "Okay." Lying in bed, Oscar reflects on his own words to his apprentice, acknowledging a hint of hypocrisy as he admits he's not one to talk. Oscar's thoughts drift to his apprentice, recalling the young man's inherent talent with the sword. Hand glows with nascent magical energy as the brown-haired man's internal question echoes, "Then what about my talent for magic?" Oscar repeats his own advice internally, "If you're going to worry about it, swing your sword, Ariha," accompanying his thoughts. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts, engulfing a building in a fiery inferno. Flames consume the structure, casting an ominous glow on a group of silent, hooded figures observing the destruction from afar. One hooded figure questions another, "Did you do it?" then warns them to remain vigilant, as their opponent is the formidable sword saint. An exclamation mark hangs in the air as a hooded figure recoils in surprise, catching sight of Oscar, who has launched himself into the burning scene. Oscar lands gracefully, sword in hand, his gaze sweeping over the hooded figures. He mentally identifies them as powerful mages. With a sharp command, "Attack!" the hooded figures unleash their combined magical energy, preparing to strike. Oscar's eyes narrow, his grip tightening on his sword as he braces himself for the impending assault. He moves with lightning speed, his sword a blur as it deflects incoming magical attacks, leaving trails of yellow energy in his wake. Oscar parries a direct strike from one of the hooded figures, the clang of metal echoing through the air. Oscar's eye widens, a flash of surprise crossing his face as he processes a new, unexpected development. A sinister hooded figure holds the brown-haired man hostage, threatening Oscar to lower his sword, warning that any resistance could result in the apprentice's accidental death, as a menacing magic circle glows above them. Brown-haired man's eyes are wide with terror, tears streaming down his face, his mouth gagged as he struggles helplessly in his captor's grasp. Oscar confronts the hooded figures, demanding their purpose. The leader, with chilling clarity, states their objective, "Your life." Oscar's brow furrows in confusion and anger. He cannot recall any actions that would warrant such deep resentment. The hooded figure smirks, a malevolent grin spreading across their face, taunting Oscar about his lack of memory, as a mysterious glowing pendant is revealed. The hooded figure declares their unforgiving hatred, not just for Oscar's swordsmanship, but for his magic, and for his very existence, which possesses such overwhelming talent. Oscar, utterly bewildered, demands to know what they are talking about, his face a mask of confusion. Surrounded by sharp, floating ice shards, the hooded figure coldly states, "There's no need for you to die here." The brown-haired man cries out to Oscar, pleading with his meister not to worry about him. With a desperate, tear-filled expression, the brown-haired man declares himself a lowly swordsman, ready to sacrifice his life. Oscar's eye hardens, a fierce resolve burning within him as he hears his apprentice's desperate plea. Oscar, gripping his sword, quietly acknowledges the situation with a calm, resolute "I see." The hooded figure, momentarily surprised, concedes, "You're absolutely right." Oscar smirks, a dangerous glint in his eyes, as he declares their plans have backfired, warning them never to underestimate his disciple. Sharp blue energy spikes erupt across the battlefield, tearing through the earth as the raw power of the clash intensifies. As the dust settles, a lone, hooded figure stands in the fading light, a silent witness to the destruction. The hooded figure lies impaled by a sword. Nearby, a younger Oscar kneels, his face contorted in disbelief. The dying figure gasps, "I can't believe it. You would disregard your own life?" Despite being grievously wounded by ice shards and covered in blood, Oscar stands defiant. "Swordsmen," he mutters, "are truly incomprehensible." Oscar collapses. Michelas rushes toward him, screaming, "Master." The hooded figure utters a final breath, "Our purpose has been fulfilled. Farewell." Michelas cradles Oscar as a radiant magical light ascends into the sky. Michelas thinks to himself about how talented his master was, possessing a rare gift for both the sword and magic. Michela's desperately tries to help. Master, that wound. Are you alright? Bleeding heavily, Oscar cries out in pain. Why me? The grim smile, Oscar asserts, I am a swordsman, too. Tears stream down Michela's face as he sobs. I was the one who was ready to die. Michela's clutches Oscar's hand, stammering, Master, I'm so sorry. It's all my... Oscar weakly reassures him, don't worry about it. It wasn't your fault. Michela's continues to sob as Oscar's consciousness begins to slip away. Oscar's eyes glaze over and his breathing stops as the last of his life fades away. A memory surfaces. A young Oscar watches his father demonstrate his power. If only I were a mage, he thinks, I could have done that too. A single tear, mixed with blood, escapes Oscar's eye, a final symbol of his unfulfilled desires. Oscar's bloody hand reaches upward as he recalls his lifelong yearning to use magic. His hand stretches toward a dazzling light, a desperate wish for a different path in life. Suddenly, his hand isn't reaching for magic, but for the warm sunlight filtering through lush green leaves. Oscar lies on soft grass, bathed in sunlight. He sits up slowly, looking around at the peaceful surroundings in utter confusion. His face twists in shock as he gasps, What? I should be dead. Oscar looks around, muttering, This place, is it? The scene reveals a quiet, idyllic village, the hometown Oscar thought he'd never see again. Memories of his death flash through his mind. This is my village, but I died back then. His hand brushes against a wooden training sword on the ground. What is this doing here? Oscar is overwhelmed with shock as he tries to process the impossible reality of his situation. He holds 2 sealed envelopes, invitations to the 2 great academies sent to every youth nearing their 15th birthday. One is for the Magic Academy and the other is for the Swordsmanship Academy. He must choose a path and present the corresponding invitation at the academy gates. Oscar gazes at his younger reflection in a puddle, his wooden sword at his side, pondering the implications. He grips the invitation tightly. Is it possible? Have I actually gone back in time? He realizes he has returned to when he was 14, the time before he ever became a swordsman. A tall, imposing shadow falls over him, filling the air with a sense of foreboding. Oscar's father stands over him, demanding, What are you doing out here, Oscar? Oscar scrambles to his feet, his face etched with relief. Father! He stares at his father, a profound realization washing over him. If I've really returned to the past, then father is still alive too. His father looks at him sternly. Lately, you've become overconfident in your skills and have been neglecting your training. Oscar lowers his gaze, his mind racing with a mix of complex emotions. Internally, Oscar thinks, I wasn't being arrogant. I was just afraid to tell you how much I actually wanted to use magic. A flashback shows his father as a master of the blade, surrounded by his many disciples. As his son, it was only natural that Oscar would spend his life learning the way of the sword from him. He diligently trained, and his father praised his steady improvement. However, a different path beckoned. Young Oscar, brimming with excitement, rushed to his father, exclaiming he had just witnessed magic. It was sparkly and beautiful, he recounted. His father's hand shot out, gripping Oscar's arm, his expression stern as he called out Oscar's name with an edge of warning. His father's face contorted in a furious scowl, dark energy radiating around him as he declared, Listen well, magic is for the weak. You, my son, need only swing your sword. The words struck young Oscar like a physical blow, his eyes widening in shock and fear as the oppressive aura of his father's command enveloped him. Years later, this path led to a grim future. Oscar found himself impaled by shards of ice, blood staining his clothes, a stark testament to the limitations of a sword alone against formidable magic. But this was merely a glimpse, a memory of a future he refused to accept. The adult Oscar stood resolute, his gaze firm beneath a rippling sky, ready to forge a new destiny. Clenching his wooden practice sword, Oscar silently vowed, I've had enough of an end like that. He stood at the precipice of change, his back to the viewer, his reflection in the water showing a powerful, cloaked figure as he declared, In this life, I will walk the path I desire. Back in the past, his father's voice cut through the air, demanding, Did you not hear me? What were you doing while neglecting your training? Oscar, looking away with a hint of defiance, thought to himself, I was facing the sword enough for a lifetime. His father's eye twitched, a silent surge of anger passing through him at Oscar's perceived insolence. Suddenly, Oscar's father unleashed a torrent of golden sword energy, manifesting countless blades around him. He let out a challenging, Ho! He aggressively sparred with Oscar and his companions, who struggled to dodge the onslaught, cries of Ju, Aga, Ha, and Ugh, echoing through the training ground. Amidst the chaos of his father's powerful technique, Oscar remained remarkably composed, observing the golden blades without flinching. One of the male companions, wide-eyed and terrified, could only utter, Why is he? His thoughts trailed off, fixated on Oscar's serene expression, able to remain so calm. Oscar's father, seeing the results of his intense training, gave a slight smile. He remarked, "It seems you weren't just playing around after all." Oscar subtly adjusted his collar, a quiet gesture hinting at his internal thoughts as his father's words settled around him. Placing a hand on Oscar's shoulder, his father, with a gentle smile, laid out his future. "If you keep working hard like that, I can eventually entrust my guild to you." His father walked away, a satisfied smile on his face, leaving Oscar to ponder the heavy weight of his expectations and the path laid before him. Oscar's mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, his thoughts echoing a silent "Father." Suddenly, a hand roughly grabbed Oscar's shoulder from behind, pulling him sharply back to the present moment. Two male companions leaned in, their smiles predatory. One sneered, "Hey, I was waiting for the academy's long break just to see you, you know?" The companion continued, his grin widening with malice, "Oscar, since we're here, I'll teach you the sword for the first time in a while." Oscar, with a resigned look, realized the full extent of his predicament. He thought, come to think of it, these guys were here too. The narrator explained that these were companions Oscar often sparred with, arranged by his father, a history that now felt like a precursor to torment. After they entered the Swordsmanship Academy and awakened their sword aura, a significant power gap emerged, making Oscar's situation even more precarious. They started teaching him the sword, not out of guidance, but to vent their pent-up frustration, turning training into cruel punishment. Now, in the present, Oscar stood ready to face one of these companions, both holding wooden swords, the tension palpable in the sunlit training ground. Oscar's expression turned serious as he analyzed the situation. He understood that the presence or absence of sword aura creates a gap that cannot be bridged by swordsmanship skill alone. Then, to the companion's utter confusion, Oscar turned his back and began to walk away, prompting the companion to demand, "What do you intend to do?" Oscar looked over his shoulder with a polite but firm smile, stating, "Thanks for everything until now." The companion could only stare in stunned silence, a single exclamation mark hanging over him. With a decisive motion, Oscar tossed his wooden sword into the shimmering water, creating powerful splashes and blue ripples, leaving the bewildered companion behind. The companions erupted in anger, shouting, "That guy threw away his sword, planning to run away, you coward!" Another scoffed, "Heh." Enraged, one companion lunged forward, his wooden sword raised. He furiously condemned Oscar to abandon the fight and show your back. You're a disgrace to swordsmen. Yet Oscar remained perfectly still, his back to his furious attackers, gazing calmly at the wide-open sky, completely unfazed by their outrage. He internally declared his true intention, a silent rebellion against his father's creed. "I will not swing a sword anymore, because Oscar finally turned, a confident smirk gracing his lips as he finished his thought. "I'm going to become a mage." Oscar's father lunges, his voice filled with intensity as he warns Oscar not to underestimate him, even when unarmed, as Oscar executes a swift, purple-tinged sword technique. Oscar's father mentally notes his technique, body reinforcement via sword chi, but a lingering doubt clouds his thoughts. Oscar's father criticizes Oscar's approach, emphasizing that the sword must be an extension of the body, not merely a weapon, leaving Oscar visibly frustrated. Oscar's father continues his furious assault, his voice echoing with a challenge. "Don't you dare look down on me." Internally, Oscar's father curses, realizing he's fallen back into old habits, sparring with Oscar as if he were his former disciple. Oscar's father shouts in disbelief, unable to land a single hit on Oscar, who expertly evades his furious attacks. Wooden swords shatter and fly as Oscar stands victorious over a defeated Oscar's father, the training session concluding with Oscar's clear dominance. Oscar's father, sprawled on the ground, glares up at Oscar, a single word escaping his lips in a mix of shock and fury. "You!" Oscar maintains his intense gaze, his expression unwavering as he looks down at Oscar's father. Oscar calmly questions Oscar's father's tactics, asking why he would discard his advantage against an unarmed foe, leaving Oscar's father stunned. Oscar glances back at the two other men still grappling, a large wooden sword now planted firmly in the earth, marking the end of the session. Oscar muses internally that his decisive victory should keep Oscar's father from bothering him for some time. Oscar remembers how, in his past life, Oscar's father had pushed him to awaken his sword chi. Determined not to repeat past mistakes, Oscar resolves to first master mana in this new life. Oscar ventures deeper into the vibrant forest, a faint, ethereal glow shimmering in the distance. Oscar's expression shifts to one of intrigue, a subtle gesture betraying his contemplation. Finding a secluded spot by a massive rock, Oscar reassures himself that he's hidden from prying eyes. Oscar, in his armored form, asks Lily Lowell about the intricacies of using magic, wondering if he's understood the core concept. Oscar explains that swordsmen refine their spirit to reinforce their bodies and weapons, but he's curious how mages achieve a similar feat with magic. Lily Lowell nods thoughtfully, acknowledging Oscar's question with a simple "I see." Lily Lowell sits peacefully amidst a vibrant garden, a watering can and bucket nearby, ready to impart her knowledge. Lily Lowell gently holds the watering can, a soft chapo sound accompanying the subtle movement of water within. Lily Lowell, holding the watering can, begins her explanation to Oscar, likening the use of magic to watering plants. Oscar's eyes widen slightly in surprise, questioning the analogy of magic being like a mere watering can. Lily Lowell continues, explaining that mana, though invisible, permeates the atmosphere, and by circulating it through one's circuits and channeling it into a magic formula, it can be harnessed. As Lily Lowell pours water, the plant beneath her hand bursts into a magical bloom, demonstrating the activation of magic. Back in the present, Oscar sits cross-legged on a forest rock, attempting to apply Lily Lowell's teachings. Oscar recalls Lily Lowell's words, that mana fills the very atmosphere around him. Looking up at the sky, Oscar wonders if merely perceiving mana would allow him to draw it into his circuits. With eyes closed, Oscar focuses intensely, pushing his senses to their limit. Oscar reflects on the training of a swordsman, how they hone their eyes, ears, and skin, pushing all 5 senses to their absolute limit to survive countless battles. A blurred image of his past training flashes, as Oscar realizes that even if he's no longer a swordsman, the honed senses of a sword saint are still deeply etched into his very being. A profound realization dawns upon Oscar, a single word escaping his thoughts. Then, his ethereal form glows, surrounded by shimmering mana, as Oscar declares he should be able to feel it, even if mana remains invisible to the naked eye. The world around him explodes into a dazzling display of colorful, star-like energy, mana manifesting its presence. Oscar's eye glows with a faint blue light, now capable of perceiving the once invisible currents of mana. Oscar sits amidst swirling purple mana, his gaze fixed on the sky as he exclaims, "This is mana!" With a triumphant grin and clenched fists, Oscar celebrates his breakthrough, declaring that the next step is to draw the mana into his circuits. His excitement quickly turns to contemplation as Oscar ponders the next challenge, how exactly to draw the perceived mana into his own circuits. His excitement quickly turns to contemplation as Oscar ponders the next challenge, how exactly to draw the perceived mana into his own circuits. His gaze then sharpens, a flicker of unease crossing his features as he senses something amiss in the lush forest before him, remarking that a particular spot feels distinctly off. Driven by his intuition, Oscar cautiously advances, his boots treading lightly on the forest floor, each step measured and deliberate. A frown deepens on Oscar's face. The silence of the forest is unnatural. He notes the eerie absence of any living presence, finding it profoundly strange. Suddenly, the ground beneath Oscar trembles violently, a powerful force erupting from the earth, sending vibrations through the air. Oscar braces himself, dust clouds billowing around him as he witnesses the source of the disturbance, exclaiming in shock at the sight. Towering over him, a colossal golem emerges from the dust, its stone form imposing and ancient. Oscar identifies the construct with a stunned question. Oscar stares up at the massive figure, his mind racing. He questions why such a powerful construct would be found in this seemingly desolate location. As Oscar remains wary, his attention is drawn to another figure appearing in the distance, seemingly unaffected by the golem's sudden presence. A stern female voice cuts through the air, demanding to know Oscar's business in her workshop, her hand raised in a gesture of authority. The red-haired woman's eyes glow with an intense, warning light as she accuses Oscar of attempting to steal her research, her voice laced with suspicion. Oscar remains kneeling, while the red-haired woman issues a chilling warning. He should consider his words carefully if he values his life. A sudden flash of imagery reveals the red-haired woman in a snowy, war-torn landscape, commanding vast constructs and an army against a horde of infinite monsters. Back in the present, Oscar finds himself bound in chains, contemplating the unexpected circumstances of his meeting with the formidable mage. The red-haired woman, from her throne, interrogates Oscar, demanding to know his allegiance to any mage faction, her gaze piercing. Vibrant magic circle flares to life beneath Oscar, trapping him further within its intricate runes, glowing ominously. Faced with the escalating magical threat, Oscar urgently pleads with the red-haired woman to wait, his eyes wide with concern. Oscar hastily explains that he offered no resistance during his capture, asserting that he is not her enemy, hoping to de-escalate the situation. The red-haired woman looks down at him, a hint of something unreadable in her expression as she begins to speak, her thoughts veiled. With a cold declaration, the red-haired woman concludes that Oscar has a death wish and bids farewell to the nameless mage as the magic circle intensifies, threatening to engulf him. Oscar cries out in desperation, protesting that he isn't even a mage yet as the magic threatens to consume him. Red-haired woman dismisses his plea as a pathetic excuse, reaching out to place her hand on Oscar's head, an unexpected gesture. A surge of energy flows from the red-haired woman into Oscar, leaving him stunned and questioning what is happening, a visible shockwave emanating. The red-haired woman withdraws her hand, her expression softening slightly. She calmly states that she now understands Oscar's situation. Now seated across from Oscar in a more refined setting, the red-haired woman, while acknowledging his plight, firmly declares she has no intention of apologizing. She confides that despite only recently accepting a professorship at the academy, she is already treated like a public enemy by everyone there. Oscar listens intently. Oscar's eyes widen in disbelief. He exclaims, realizing that the formidable red-haired woman, Lady Isabelle, works at the Magic Academy. A small, frustrated chibi image of the red-haired woman appears, conveying her exasperation with the situation. The red-haired woman confirms her position, stating it's beneficial for her golem research. Meanwhile, Oscar's mind races with a thrilling realization. This is his chance to study under her at the academy and potentially integrate mana into his own circuits. Oscar watches the red-haired woman take a sip of tea, then addresses her directly, his voice filled with renewed determination. The desperate plea, Oscar begs the red-haired woman to teach him the crucial technique of infusing his body with mana, his earnestness evident. The red-haired woman's expression hardens as she flatly refuses, declaring her lack of interest in weak and incompetent men. Oscar's face falls as the red-haired woman sternly instructs him to finish his tea and leave immediately if he understands her decision. His inner turmoil, however, is abruptly interrupted as Oscar's keen perception focuses, his eyes glowing with an intense blue energy, sensing an unusual disturbance. He observes a nearby golem, its arm crackling with unstable blue mana, and an uneasy feeling washes over him. Oscar voices his concern, noting that there's something wrong with the golem. The red-haired woman, still seated and annoyed by Oscar's previous actions, dismisses his observation with a sharp retort, warning him against spouting nonsense just to get her attention. Before she can finish, the golem's arm violently jerks, sending a stream of hot tea splashing from the teapot it holds. The tea splatters directly onto the red-haired woman, shocking her. Oscar, witnessing the sudden mishap, immediately calls out her name, Lady Isabelle, in alarm. Oscar rushes to her side, expressing concern for her well-being and quickly offering her a handkerchief. He asks if she's burned and if she's all right. Meanwhile, the golem's right shoulder continues to crackle with increasing instability. The red-haired woman, observing the malfunctioning golem, realizes its circuits are jammed. Oscar gently takes her hand to offer the handkerchief, a small gesture amidst the chaos. Still holding Oscar's hand, the red-haired woman looks up, her expression a mix of shock and curiosity. She demands to know how he knew the golem was malfunctioning. Oscar, unfazed, explains that he simply noticed the unnatural flow of mana. The red-haired woman, still processing, takes the handkerchief he offered. The red-haired woman's eyes widen as a profound realization hits her. She asks Oscar if he can actually see ambient mana. A fleeting memory of a mage who claimed mana was invisible to the naked eye crosses her mind. Oscar, with a slight nod, confirms that he can indeed see it. The red-haired woman, now thoughtful, connects the dots, realizing this explains how Oscar shattered her barrier. She elaborates that her defensive spells manipulate the invisible ambient mana. Oscar ponders, wondering if this ability is the talent that someone had spoken of earlier. The red-haired woman, now intrigued, addresses Oscar by name, confirming it with a question. With a confident smile, the red-haired woman declares her intention to teach Oscar how to use mana. Oscar, taken aback by her sudden change of heart, expresses his surprise and questions her decision, reminding her of her earlier stance. The red-haired woman reiterates that she still has no interest in weak or incompetent individuals. However, with a captivating smile, she extends her hand to Oscar, declaring that he has piqued her interest. Oscar returns her smile, a new sense of determination in his eyes. Their hands meet in a firm handshake, sealing their new mentor-student relationship. The red-haired woman begins her instruction, using a chalkboard held by two golems. She clarifies a common misconception. Mana is naturally absorbed into the body as long as one is alive. Oscar, eager to learn, asks how he can get the mana to flow through his circuits. The red-haired woman smiles, ready to explain. She illustrates her point on the chalkboard, explaining that mana only flows through circuits when a magic formula exists to receive it, likening it to needing a cup to pour tea. Oscar looks intently at the chalkboard, his expression curious, asking about the next step. The red-haired woman winks playfully as she presents a piece of magic paper inscribed with a specific spell, stating its standard issue for new academy students. Oscar's eyes sparkle with excitement as he receives the magic paper, eagerly asking about the type of spell it contains. The red-haired woman playfully puts a finger to her lips, telling him it's a surprise for after he succeeds. She then instructs Oscar to visualize the power circulating within his body and pour it into the magic formula, challenging him to see if he can manage it. Oscar, brimming with confidence, accepts the challenge with a bright smile, declaring he'll give it his best shot. The red-haired woman observes him, a slight smirk playing on her lips, noting that while she made it sound simple, the assignment typically takes a full month to complete. However, her expression turns thoughtful, contemplating that if Oscar's talent is truly genuine, she muses that perhaps he might even finish the task in half a month, as Oscar kneels, intently studying the magic paper. Oscar focuses, repeating the instruction to feel the power circulating through the body, his expression serious and determined. A realization dawns on him, it's just like refining his sword chi. He simply needs to direct his consciousness inward. Closing his eyes in concentration, Oscar's body begins to glow with an ethereal light as he channels his inner power. Beneath his foot, a complex purple magic circle begins to form on the ground, indicating the successful activation of the formula. Oscar's eyes snap open, glowing with vibrant mana, as he confirms the truth of his perception. He looks up, surrounded by dazzling mana particles, realizing that the mana is truly all around him, waiting to be controlled. Mastering magic is like learning to walk. No one is born knowing how. It takes practice and dedication. Just as with magic, you fall over and over, learning how to use your body before you can finally stand up. They say the ones who stand at the top of the magic world master mana quickly, but Oscar's father observes the shimmering magical particles, a silent testament to the raw power being displayed. Oscar stands amidst the ethereal blue energy, his presence calm as the red-haired woman departs in the background. The red-haired woman, utterly stunned, declares her disbelief, realizing he mastered mana in just a single try. She ponders how Oscar knew the golem was malfunctioning, questioning if the mana flow looked unnatural to him. Her eyes narrow in thought, wondering if he possesses the rare ability to see atmospheric mana. With a bead of sweat forming, she dismisses the thought, stating that alone doesn't explain his extraordinary feat. As the magical energy swirls, she concludes that whatever the reason, one thing is certain. Her gaze fixed on Oscar, she emphatically declares that he is indeed the real deal. Oscar stands, gazing upwards as a brilliant display of magical fireworks erupts in the sky. With wide eyes, Oscar utters in awe, realizing the true nature of the display. This is magic. The red-haired woman excitedly calls out to Oscar, her voice filled with enthusiasm. She exclaims her amazement, praising Oscar for activating the magic formula on his very first try. As she enthusiastically places a hand on his back, the red-haired woman proclaims that no one like him has ever existed in history. Oscar, seemingly dissatisfied, declares that this isn't good enough, prompting a confused "huh" from the red-haired woman. Oscar's expression hardens, a determined glint in his eyes as he looks off into the distance. He voices his sentiment, declaring that the magic he just witnessed is simply not beautiful. Flashback shows a young Oscar, mesmerized by a grand magical display alongside an adult figure, captivated by its splendor. Young Oscar's face beams with pure joy and wonder, reflecting the profound beauty of the magic he witnessed. Oscar, with a distressed expression, states that to him, magic is something beautiful and special, but this particular magic feels different. Oscar examines his gloved hand, lost in thought, as if trying to grasp an elusive concept. Kneeling, Oscar points to a specific part of the magic formula on the ground, drawing the red-haired woman's attention. His finger traces the intricate lines of the formula as he explains that, just like with the golem, the flow of mana felt strange. Oscar looks up at the red-haired woman, urgently asking for her opinion, addressing her as Miss Isabelle. The red-haired woman reacts with a startled stumbling over her words in surprise. Oscar clenches his fist, a new realization dawning on him. He didn't just want to become a mage. With fierce resolve, Oscar declares his true ambition. He wants to use perfect and beautiful magic. The red-haired woman stares in stunned silence, a single ellipsis conveying her shock at his declaration. After a moment of thought, the red-haired woman suggests that if a part of the formula bothers him, he can simply rewrite it. Oscar looks at the red-haired woman, his expression a mixture of confusion and surprise at her unexpected advice. Oscar, wide-eyed, questions her suggestion, asking, "Rewrite the formula? How do I do that?" The red-haired woman pauses, considering her words, before offering her next piece of wisdom. With a confident wink and a raised finger, she declares, "By using your own mana, of course." Oscar's eyes widen in disbelief and shock as he repeats her words, "My own mana?" A tense atmosphere hangs heavy as two young men, visibly distressed, try to explain a situation to a cloaked figure. The young man with spiky hair insists, "It wasn't something we did," while the young man with flat hair stammers, "No, this is..." The cloaked figure, his expression stern and unwavering, presses them for answers, demanding to know exactly what transpired. Faced with the cloaked figure's intensity, the two young men recoil in fear. The young man with flat hair lets out a terrified eek, while the young man with spiky hair can only manage a stuttered, "Actually..." One of the young men bows deeply in submission as the cloaked figure stands with his arms crossed, silently observing their deference. A subtle, knowing smirk plays on the cloaked figure's lips, hinting at his deeper understanding of the situation. The cloaked figure expresses his disbelief at the young men's current state, remarking, "I can't believe it, to think Oscar could beat you lot in your current state." He then instructs them to ensure Oscar is properly nursed back to health by tomorrow, emphasizing the need to avoid any lingering effects from the encounter. One of the young men, clearly intimidated, responds with a sharp, "Yes, sir." The cloaked figure turns to walk away, leaving the two young men behind, one still bowing in deference. As he departs, the cloaked figure muses to himself, sensing that the time is ripe for something significant. A confident smile spreads across his face as he contemplates, "Perhaps I should grant that guy sword chi?" Scene shifts, revealing a grand library, overflowing with countless tomes and ancient texts, hinting at a world of profound knowledge. A detailed shot of an ornate street lamp against a clear sky provides a brief moment of quiet contemplation. Another exterior detail, a glimpse of the sky and light, setting a serene tone before returning to the main action. Oscar, immersed in his studies, expresses his awe at the complexity of magic formulas, stating, "I had no idea magic formulas were this deep." The red-haired woman, observing him, explains that such depth is only natural, as knowledge is key to magic. The red-haired woman praises Oscar's instincts and generously offers to lend him her books if he wishes to delve deeper into magic. Oscar, overcome with excitement, dashes towards the stacks of books, leaving a trail of scattered pages in his wake. The red-haired woman watches Oscar's enthusiastic response, a slight smile playing on her lips at his eagerness. With a confident gesture, the red-haired woman confirms that all the knowledge is packed within the books and tells Oscar to take as many as you like. Suddenly, the red-haired woman looks surprised, realizing Oscar has vanished in a blink, prompting her to exclaim, "Wait, huh!" Oscar reappears, now balancing an enormous stack of books, and addresses the red-haired woman by name, declaring, "Miss Isabelle, I'll borrow these too." Isabelle, astonished by the sheer volume, asks if Oscar plans to take all of them home. Oscar, holding his ground, reminds her, "But you said, as many as I like." Overwhelmed by Oscar's ambition, Isabelle muses to herself, "You really are something." Isabelle's eyes widen as a sudden thought strikes her, realizing there's an important warning she needs to deliver. She apologizes for raining on his parade, but states that she needs to give him a crucial warning, her expression turning serious. Isabelle explains Oscar's current state, stating that he is now a mage with mana housed in his circuits, as a shimmering silhouette of a mage appears. She sternly warns him to be careful with sword chi, leaving a chilling otherwise hanging in the air. As Isabelle's warning echoes, the enigmatic cloaked figure from before appears with a sinister smile, hinting at the dire consequences of Oscar's choices. Oscar, still burdened by the stack of books, processes Isabelle's ominous warning, his expression turning pensive. The ultimate consequence of ignoring the warning is starkly presented. "You'll die," a chilling message emblazoned against a backdrop of dark, blood-red energy. The scene shifts dramatically as Oscar, mounted on horseback, approaches Aean village, bathed in the warm glow of sunset. Oscar's face, now reflecting a mix of weariness and resolve, indicates the journey he has undertaken. He finds Oscar's father lying frail in bed, and with a heavy heart, Oscar greets him, "It's been a while, father." Oscar stands over his father, his expression filled with concern as he observes his father's weakened state. Oscar kneels by the bedside as his father reaches out, softly calling to him, "Oh, Oscar, would you come here for a moment?" Their hands meet in a tender moment, signaling a deeply personal conversation about to unfold. Elder Chun places a hand on Oscar's shoulder, acknowledging his inherent abilities with the words, "Just as I thought, you have talent." A younger Oscar looks on, while Elder Chen's face, partially obscured by shadow, reveals a subtle smile. He reflects on a past decision, stating, "I wasn't wrong to make you give up magic back then." A stark flashback, Oscar's father stands sternly over a kneeling, younger Oscar, whose hands glow with nascent magical energy. The scene is charged with the weight of a forced choice, as Oscar's father points a decisive finger. Years later, a gloved hand firmly grasps a formal invitation, sealed with a distinctive purple wax emblem, signaling a new, pivotal chapter. Oscar stands before the imposing, ornate gates of a grand institution, the towering structure silhouetted against the night sky, his gaze fixed on the path ahead. The intricate details of the formidable gate are highlighted, emphasizing the barrier Oscar must overcome to enter this new world. Elder Chun stands patiently in a torchlit courtyard, his hand resting on a sheathed sword, awaiting Oscar's arrival with a somber resolve. Oscar, with a confident and determined expression, approaches Elder Chun, declaring his purpose. "I came to have you sign my invitation." Elder Chun, holding the invitation, looks surprised and questions the suddenness of the request, stating, "What's this all of a sudden? You can do this anytime." A close-up on Elder Chun's wide, strained eyes reveals a flicker of alarm and a growing sense of unease. Oscar maintains a slight smile, explaining the urgency to his father. "I'm glad. Without your signature, I can't enroll in the Magic Academy." The intricate details of the invitation document are presented, its importance underscored by Oscar's focused grip. Elder Chun, visibly distressed, questions Oscar's choice, asking, "Oscar, why magic? You were born as my son and have studied the sword, haven't you?" Oscar looks up at his father, a hint of defiance in his eyes, reminding him, "Father, do you remember when I told you I wanted to use magic?" Elder Chun points a finger at Oscar, his expression hardening as he dismisses Oscar's past ambition as mere childish nonsense. Oscar's face is shadowed, his expression unreadable as he echoes his father's dismissive word, simply stating, "Nonsense." Elder Chen's hand presses firmly against Oscar's chest, a physical assertion of his authority and disapproval. Dark, shadowy energy emanates from Elder Chen's hand as it presses against Oscar, symbolizing the oppressive weight of his father's will. Elder Chen's face contorts in shock and anger, surrounded by crackling streaks of energy, as he exclaims, "What kind of joke is this? You've learned mana?" Oscar stands calmly, a faint glow shimmering around him, his composure a stark contrast to his father's outrage, showcasing his mastery of mana. With a slight smirk, Oscar looks at his father, revealing his true motive. "I thought this was the only way to convince you, father." Elder Chen's rage intensifies as he clutches his sword, demanding answers. He reveals his knowledge of Oscar's unique talent. "What exactly are you trying to convince me of? I heard about it." Oscar meets his father's gaze with unwavering resolve, calmly asserting, "I do understand." Elder Chun vehemently denies Oscar's claim, his voice booming as he commands, "No, you don't. Listen." Oscar, with a knowing look, concedes to his father's perception, yet hints at a deeper truth. "Your judgment is probably correct, father, but..." In a poignant memory, Oscar walks away from what appears to be a scene of familial happiness, reflecting on a profound truth: success doesn't always mean happiness. A palpable tension hangs in the air as Oscar and Elder Chun stand facing each other in the torchlit courtyard, a silent battle of wills unfolding. Elder Chun covers his face, overwhelmed by a mix of frustration and despair at Oscar's unwavering defiance. Oscar's expression remains resolute, his profile firm, as he stands unyielding in the face of his father's distress. Surrounded by crackling purple energy, Elder Chun expresses a desperate hope to salvage the situation, stating, "Perhaps there's still time to fix this." He then issues a grave warning, "You haven't forgotten what happens when two powers flow through the circuits, have you?" Elder Chun delivers a dire prophecy, warning Oscar, "You'll die." But Oscar's resolve is unshaken as he defiantly retorts, "But what of it?" Elder Chun, reflected grimly in the blade of his sword, insists with a determined gaze, "Even if you don't understand now, someday you'll thank your father." Oscar's face is illuminated by a faint glow, shards of broken glass reflecting around him as he delivers his final, resolute rejection. "That day will never come, father." The tension in the air is thick enough to cut as Oscar's father thrusts a practice blade forward, his voice cold and demanding, "Go get your sword." He stands with a rigid, uncompromising posture, making it clear this isn't a request. "I'll at least wait for that," he adds, expecting the boy to arm himself. Oscar's eyes, once clouded with doubt, snap open with a newfound clarity, reflecting a resolve that his father has never seen before. Facing the man who raised him, Oscar stands his ground without reaching for a blade. "Father," he begins, his voice steady. "I'm a mage now, you know?" He holds out a sealed envelope, the wax emblem representing the path he has chosen over the way of the sword. In a shocking display of defiance, Oscar tosses the letter into the flames. The paper curls and blackens, a symbolic end to his former life. Oscar's father stares at the embers, his face contorting with a mix of disbelief and rising fury as the bridge to Oscar's past turns to ash. Unfazed by the anger, Oscar challenges the man recognized as a sword master. "Go ahead and see if you can beat it out of me." Oscar's father begins to walk, the ground practically vibrating under his weight. "Just because you withstood my sword pressure." Suddenly, he lunges, his movements a blur of violet energy. "Doesn't mean you should get carried away. Don't let it go to your head." Oscar narrowly evades the strike, his senses heightened. He realizes he can read attacks clad in sword aura as if they were right in front of him. Memories of his childhood training flash back, the countless hours spent watching his father's every move, learning the rhythm of the blade. His eyes track the trajectory of the next blow before it even lands, dissecting the technique with surgical precision. A massive surge of purple aura erupts as Oscar's father unleashes a devastating sweep, the sheer power threatening to level the room. The blade whistles through the air, but Oscar is already a step ahead, sliding beneath the arc of the lethal energy. Oscar acknowledges the truth in his heart. As a swordsman, the person he modeled himself after more than anyone was undeniably his father. Even now, Oscar's father lives up to his fearsome reputation, his every step radiating the authority of a master. The older man stops, looking at Oscar with a grim curiosity, dodging all that without any bodily enhancement from sword aura. He notes that there isn't a single person in the entire guild who could match Oscar's raw, evasive instincts. A rare moment of praise escapes his lips. Your talent with the sword is the real thing. But the praise comes with a deadly ultimatum. That's why I'll wager on the 1 in 10,000 chance. Accept my sword aura right now. Oscar looks at the overwhelming power being gathered. When you said you'd beat it out of me, father, was this what you meant? Smirks, his eyes burning with defiance. Or are you telling me to break instead, just because you can't beat me down? The insult hits home. Foolish boy, Oscar's father mutters, his patience finally snapping. Oscar ignores the warning. Just as talent is what matters most to you, father. He reaches for a small, ornate tool. There's something I refuse to give up on as well. His father scoffs. And what would that be? Don't tell me you mean the sword. He recalls the words of the red-haired woman who told him that using magic requires vast knowledge. He admits he doesn't have that knowledge yet, but he points out that the same applies to his father. With a piercing gaze, Oscar declares, "You have no way of knowing what I'm about to do next." Oscar's father charges, his blade ready to end the debate. The heavy sword descends with crushing force, aiming to break Oscar's spirit once and for all. In that split second, a brilliant blue streak ignites in Oscar's eye, his perception slowing time to a crawl. Ghostly projections of his father's movements appear around him, mapping out every possible strike before they happen. A confident smile plays on Oscar's lips. He isn't just reacting, he's calculating the perfect counter. Massive blade is inches from his face, but Oscar doesn't flinch. He sees the opening he's been waiting for. The massive blade is inches from his face, but Oscar doesn't flinch. He sees the opening he's been waiting for, a moment to unleash the magic he has dreamed of mastering. The spell he has longed for, cultivated in his imagination, now takes form as he activates Spark Spissa, a burst of brilliant blue light erupting around him. Powerful blue energy arc slashes towards Oscar's father, forcing him to react, his eyes widening in surprise as the magical attack closes in. The brilliant magical attack strikes Oscar's father, sending shimmering particles exploding around him, yet he remains standing, his expression a mix of shock and confusion. Oscar's father shields his face, reeling from the unexpected magical assault, questioning the nature of the spell Oscar just unleashed. He quickly analyzes the situation, wondering if the magic was merely a diversion. But a deeper intuition tells him otherwise, dismissing the thought with a sharp no. As Oscar's father processes the feint, a glint of steel catches his eye. A sword plunges from above, aiming for the ground, not him. Sword lands with a soft thud, perfectly upright in the ground. As Oscar stands nearby, a small dagger clutched in his gloved hand, revealing his true intent. The polished blade of the sword reflects the two figures, Oscar and his father, a silent testament to the cunning maneuver that disarmed the experienced swordsman. Oscar looks at his father, explaining his strategy. He knew his father would rely on sensing presence alone, so he aimed to remove the sword from the equation. Oscar's father clenches his jaw, the realization dawning on him. The first spell was indeed a feint, its true purpose to disarm him. Oscar confidently declares that the tactic of hiding his true aim among lesser ones was a lesson he learned directly from his father, a testament to his own growth. Oscar's father pinches the bridge of his nose, a wry smile forming as he acknowledges his son's cleverness and the effectiveness of his own teachings. He praises Oscar's undeniable talent with the sword, but then challenges him, asking who will vouch for his talent in magic, implying skepticism about his magical prowess. Oscar, with a serene smile and closed eyes, states that he merely showed his father the path he intends to forge for himself, a blend of both sword and magic. Oscar's father, taken aback by his son's confidence, questions if Oscar became a swordsman solely because someone guaranteed his talent, hinting at a deeper motivation. The scene shifts to a flashback, focusing on a younger Oscar's father's eye, reflecting a distant memory. A soft, warm light fills the room as a voice ponders whether their child should learn the sword or magic one day. Oscar's father, sitting beside a pregnant Oscar's mother, confidently asserts that if it's their child, they will surely possess talent for the sword. Oscar's mother gently teases him, reminding him that he himself started learning the sword because he thought it looked cool. With a loving smile, Oscar's mother declares there's no need for them to choose, as their child's path will ultimately be chosen by the child themselves. Back in the present, Oscar's father smiles wistfully, admitting he always expected Oscar to become a sword saint someday, but now acknowledges his son's broader aspirations. Oscar watches as his father turns and begins to walk away, a subtle shift in their dynamic now palpable. Oscar calls out, a hint of question in his voice as his father continues to walk away, leaving him to ponder the next steps. As Oscar's father departs, a folded piece of paper flutters from his hand, landing unnoticed on the ground. The hand reaches down to retrieve the elegant, sealed document, a crucial item left behind. Oscar looks down at the quill in his hand, a sudden realization dawning on him as he connects the dots of his father's actions. Oscar's father, now holding a similar document, turns with a knowing smirk, informing Oscar that he won't be able to sign with the quill he's holding, hinting at a formal process. The scene transitions to a grand, imposing academy, its spires reaching towards a clear, blue sky, signaling a new chapter. Elder Chun reviews a stack of application documents, remarking on the promising caliber of this year's new students. Lily Lowell, with a cheerful expression, adds that Lady Norton, Lord Gerosis, and even the Imperial Princess herself are enrolling, highlighting the prestige of the incoming class. Elder Chun continues, impressed that these new students have already mastered not only basic spells but also their family's heirloom magic, a testament to their exceptional talent. An unknown male figure with dark red hair tied back turns, asking if something is the matter, sensing a shift in the atmosphere of the meeting. A skull-masked figure smiles ominously, acknowledging that these are all bloodlines worthy of Saint-class status, and finds it quite delightful as a mysterious glowing pendant pulses below. Oscar, now seated at a desk, confidently signs a document with a quill, ready to embark on his chosen path at the prestigious academy. The narrative promises more to come as Oscar steps into this new world, his journey of mastering both sword and magic just beginning. A promotional image for Sorajima is displayed, indicating the source of the story. The Grand Guild dormitory stands tall, a beacon for aspiring heroes. Here, Oscar's father, a figure of quiet strength, waits with a sword at his side, observing the bustling grounds. A subtle smile plays on Oscar's father's lips, a hint of deep wisdom and perhaps a touch of melancholy in his gaze. As he walks, Oscar's father reflects, acknowledging how quickly those 6 months have passed. Oscar, a bright smile on his face, agrees with his father, confirming that the time truly went by in the blink of an eye. Oscar's father continues, explaining that just as Oscar dedicated himself to the sword, many others have committed themselves to honing magic. With a serious expression, Oscar's father delivers a profound warning. I'm not really in a position to say this, but this is the path you chose. Never let yourself be broken. Oscar, with a teasing smile, responds to his father's stern words, declaring, there's no one scarier than you, father. Oscar's father closes his eyes, a soft smile returning to his face as he simply replies, I see. With a final glance back at his father, Oscar announces his departure, ready to face his own path. Then I'll be going. A gloved hand holds a formal letter, the words finally echoing the anticipation of a new journey. Michelas walks away from the camera, his excitement palpable as he thinks, I can finally attend. A close-up reveals Michelas's eager face, his words confirming his destination, the Magic Academy. Brilliant, blinding light spills from a partially open door, signaling entry into a realm of powerful magic. The magnificent Kirk National Magic Academy, a grand castle-like structure, stands majestically under a vibrant, magic-infused sky, surrounded by lush landscapes. Within the academy grounds, 2 students in wizard hats joyfully cast spells, their magic illuminating the air with sparkling light. Overhead, students skillfully navigate on brooms, while Michelas walks below, observing the magical spectacle with wide eyes. Michelas takes in his surroundings, remarking, so this is the Kirk National Magic Academy. The atmosphere is completely different from the Sword Academy. His awe is palpable. 3 animated gnome-like figures perform a lively tune, one on drums, another on a horn, adding to the academy's unique charm. Michelas crouches down, intrigued by the mechanical performers. He wonders aloud, those look like golems but aren't quite the same. How do they work? Voice interrupts Michelas's musings, warning him, if you dawdle around out here, you'll be late for your enrollment paperwork. The red-haired woman, with a confident smirk, acknowledges the voice as someone calls out, Isabelle. The red-haired woman challenges Oscar, asking if he's been slacking. Oscar confidently replies he's much stronger now, to which she responds, I'll be looking forward to it. The playful smirk, the red-haired woman urges Oscar, make sure you surprise me again. Oscar looks around, then asks the red-haired woman, by the way, where are they? The red-haired woman points towards a distant building, recalling, if I remember right, they were holding the first-class placement exam over there. Oscar's expression shifts to surprise as he processes the information, questioning, placement exam? A montage illustrates the academy structure. New students are split into 2 classes based on whether they have mana or not. The explanation continues, revealing a higher tier. Above those 2, there's a special class where only the truly exceptional are gathered. Oscar's eyes widen in astonishment as he considers the implications of the first class. A powerful magical circle glows, signifying the purpose of the rigorous assessment. The exam is a way to sort out talent. The red-haired woman advises Oscar against the first-class exam, stating, "But you shouldn't take the first-class exam." Oscar, shocked, questions, "Huh? Why not?" Silhouettes of formidable mages appear, accompanied by elemental magic as the red-haired woman explains, "Because every single student who gets in is a total monster." She elaborates further, revealing that they're all elite types raised around magic since childhood. And yet Oscar's eyes gleam with unbridled excitement, his mind racing as he interprets her words. "That just means they teach higher-level magic there, right?" The red-haired woman sighs in exasperation, realizing the futility of her warnings. "Figures. Nothing I say will stop you." The resigned shrug, she challenges Oscar, "If you're that curious, see it for yourself." In an outdoor arena, two students engage in intense sword combat, while others observe, showcasing the physical trials of the academy. As a student shouts, "All right," Oscar observes the chaotic scene of magical projectiles. He deduces the exam's objective. Looks like the exam is to hit that target with magic. Yet a deeper thought lingers. Even so, Oscar's internal monologue reveals his unease as he senses unseen eyes upon him, a chilling premonition amidst the exam chaos. The oppressive feeling intensifies as shadowy figures in the crowd fix their glowing eyes, their gazes piercing through the illusion of anonymity. Suddenly, a sharp voice cuts through the air, demanding Oscar's attention as a white-haired student confronts him, calling out, "Hey, you there!" Student, revealed as Zazan of House Gerosis, sneers at Oscar, declaring this prestigious academy no place for a mere commoner. With an imperious glare, Zazan commands Oscar to leave immediately, his disdain palpable as he orders, "Leave at once." Unfazed, Oscar calmly retorts that he understood all new students were permitted to take the exam, challenging Zazan's authority. Zazan lets out a condescending humph, acknowledging Oscar's verbal retort with a mocking smirk as his cronies echo his amusement. The red-haired woman observes the unfolding scene, realizing this is the harsh reality Isabelle had warned her about. She muses that every student here is a monster, an elite raised in magic since childhood. Oscar, observing the blatant classism, realizes that this academy's elite class actively excludes anyone not born of noble blood. Zazan shoves Oscar aside, arrogantly declaring he will now take the exam and expects Oscar to silently observe his superior display. Zazan stands confidently, a small wand in hand, as a formidable ice wall erupts behind him. He declares the first class is for those who dedicated their lives to magic, challenging Oscar to witness the disparity in their training. Zazan's eyes glow with intense magical energy as he activates a powerful spell, chanting, "Let all things be frozen stiff." The magic circle beneath his hand flares, unleashing Great Freeze, Mega Pagono. The ground beneath him shatters, cracks spreading outward as the immense freezing power takes hold, transforming the very earth. Towering ice spikes erupt from the ground, surrounding Zazan as he stands triumphant, his wand still pointed, commanding the frozen landscape. Other students stare in wide-eyed astonishment, their mouths agape at the sheer power displayed by Zazan's formidable ice magic. Even Oscar's usually calm demeanor cracks, a flicker of surprise evident in his widened eye as he witnesses Zazan's powerful magic. With a triumphant smirk, Zazan surveys the stunned crowd and Oscar, declaring, "Now you understand. Those who can't even use proper magic aren't welcome here." Behind, Oscar observes Zazan, acknowledging internally that it truly is an amazing spell, a testament to someone who has poured their entire being into mastering magic. Yet, a critical thought crosses Oscar's mind, deeming such a magnificent display a tragic waste. Zazan's triumphant expression twists into one of shocked anger, demanding to know, "What did you say?" A flashback reveals a young Oscar training diligently with Oscar's father, his internal monologue confirming he understands the immense weight of effort and years of dedication better than anyone. Oscar's thoughts continue, recalling his past worries about entering the first class. He then sarcastically thanks Zazan, claiming the display has now filled him with confidence. Confident, almost smug smile plays on Oscar's lips as he holds up his simple quill-like wand, ready to prove his point. Zazan scoffs, dismissing Oscar's simple wand pen and asserting that proper aim is impossible with such a rudimentary tool. Zazan, still processing Oscar's earlier remark, ponders, gained confidence? He remains convinced his own magical display was utterly flawless. The purple-haired woman stands between Oscar and Zazan, the towering ice spikes a stark reminder of the previous display as the tension mounts for Oscar's turn. Purple-haired woman, also proudly identifying herself as being from the Ice House of Gyrosis, internally asserts that Zazan's ice magic, by extension, could possess no flaw. Zazan, still visibly perturbed, touches his forehead in confusion, internally questioning why he's taking Oscar's words so seriously. The purple-haired woman, observing the lingering magical aura, acknowledges internally that Zazan's spell was indeed quite a strong one. The purple-haired woman's thoughts continue, recognizing the immense power required for Zizan to cast magic of that scale at this specific time of year, solidifying his reputation as the guaranteed top freshman of House Gyrosis. Shifting her focus, the purple-haired woman wonders what Oscar has been doing this entire time as a magical projectile streaks across the air, hinting at his imminent action. A frustrated student shouts, "If you can't aim, just give up already," convinced of Oscar's impending failure with his simple wand. The purple-haired woman observes Oscar's calm profile, realizing he's not struggling but patiently waiting for a specific moment. She senses no anxiety or impatience from him, only a quiet resolve. Oscar's blue-gray eye narrows, gleaming with absolute focus as lines of ethereal blue energy shimmer around him, signaling his readiness. Oscar's hand moves, and a searing fire bullet Pilspira erupts from his wand pen. His determined gaze, framed by surging flames, signals the activation of his magic. The fire bullet screams through the air, a blazing streak of raw magical power. It pierces through the targets with devastating force, leaving a trail of shimmering heat. Impact shatters the magical constructs, their fragments dissolving into smoke as they fall. Michela's watches, a flicker of disbelief crossing his face at the display of power. An unnamed male student, unimpressed, dismisses the display, remarking, "But that was just basic magic, wasn't it? Look, it barely even left a hole. That's a fail." Elder Chun, observing the scene, adds, "If you're entering the academy, you should be able to use more suitable magic." An unnamed male student with white hair, clearly annoyed, muses, "I wondered what kind of spell he'd use," his disappointment evident. With a sigh of disdain, the white-haired student concludes, "What a waste of time." Oscar's distant figure remains oblivious to the judgment. Oscar, turning to the purple-haired woman, tentatively asks, does that mean I failed?" The instructor appears lost in thought, a silent assessment lingering. The purple-haired woman's eyes widen in sudden realization, a surprised "you" escaping her lips as the full implications of Oscar's performance hit her. Oscar looks on, bewildered, as the purple-haired woman explains, "Hitting 5 targets earns you a flawless pass," a statement that contradicts his perceived failure. Still confused, Oscar presses, "B but why?" seeking to understand the unexpected outcome. The purple-haired woman gestures, questioning Oscar's tactics. "If you're capable of that, why not take them down one by one with certainty?" A hint of frustration in her expression, the purple-haired woman challenges, "Don't tell me that was just luck." She suspects there's more to his method. Oscar falls silent, contemplating the earlier display of magic. He acknowledges his magic was certainly impressive, but a deeper thought forms, "But at the same time, I thought..." A subtle smirk plays on Oscar's lips as he internally concludes, "Using that much mana is a waste, that's all." He clearly prioritizes efficiency. Oscar's strategic mind continues to work. Since this exam simulates real combat against monsters, he reasons, "I assumed it would be better to conserve mana, as one would on a battlefield." Purple-haired woman remains in a thoughtful silence, processing Oscar's unconventional approach and the implications of his calculated efficiency. Her expression remains one of deep consideration, a silent acknowledgement of Oscar's unique perspective on magic and combat. Oscar walks away from the testing grounds, a subtle confidence in his stride, leaving the instructor to ponder his methods. Purple-haired woman's thoughts race, recognizing Oscar's exceptional talent, the keen eyes to perfectly read the target's movements, the nerve to wait for the exact moment. Her internal monologue continues, acknowledging his mastery, and the control to fire his spell precisely as intended. She notes, the spell itself wasn't flashy, nor was it high level. The purple-haired woman concludes her assessment, realizing Oscar possesses a rare talent, more than anyone here, a true prodigy. Oscar continues his journey through the academy grounds, the sparkling essence of magic subtly adorning the elegant architecture around him. Oscar reflects on the exam, realizing the instructor's spell, the targets were moving independently. He marvels at the unexpected challenge, to meet such a powerful mage on my first day at the Magic Academy. He walks deeper into the academy, the air shimmering with residual magic, a new chapter beginning for the young mage. His footsteps echo softly on the paved path, a moment of quiet before an unexpected encounter. Suddenly, Oscar stops, his eyes sharp and alert as he demands, "Who's there?" sensing a hidden presence. Figure emerges from the shimmering air, a distinguished old man in a wizard's hat. He acknowledges Oscar's perception. "Oh, so you noticed. You have sharp eyes, or perhaps good instincts." The headmaster extends a hand, his voice calm and welcoming. "A pleasure to meet you, young mage." The venerable headmaster, Balsames, introduces himself. "I am Balsames, headmaster of Kirk Magic Academy," his title confirmed by a system notification. Oscar, startled and respectful, immediately bows deeply, exclaiming, "Headmaster, excuse me." Balsames, however, dismisses the formality with a warm smile. "No need. I was the one sneaking a look after all." As Oscar looks up, a chilling memory flashes across his mind. He sees a spectral, dark hand, and a single word escapes his lips. That Balsami's, oblivious to Oscar's internal turmoil, gently prompts him. What is the matter? Oscar, go on, give your greeting. Oscar's eye widens in horror, the traumatic vision still vivid. He stutters, that was the memory gripping him. Horrifying thought pierces Oscar's mind. In my previous life, the mage who killed me, Balsami's, noticing Oscar's sudden silence, gently inquires, is something the matter, Oscar? Balsami's extends his hand once more, urging, come now, greet me. Oscar stares at the hand, a silent internal struggle consuming him, recognizing the face of his past killer. With a profound sense of dread, Oscar forces himself to shake Balsami's hand, the touch feeling heavy with the weight of his past life. As their hands meet, Oscar's eyes snap wide open, a jolt of recognition and terror coursing through him. Suddenly, a powerful vortex of wind magic erupts around Oscar, a defensive reflex or an unexpected manifestation of his fear. Oscar is caught in the swirling tempest, looking back at Balsami's, who calmly observes the chaos, remarking, how perceptive, do you have a good eye for things? Balsami's continues, a knowing glint in his eye, or is it just your intuition? Oscar, trapped in the wind, confronts him directly, have you come to kill me? Oscar, caught in the swirling wind, demands to know if this mysterious figure has come to kill him, his grip tight on his feather-like dagger. Oscar, now fully enveloped by the swirling blue currents, recognizes his opponent's true identity, the formidable stormcaller Michelas. The pressure mounts as Oscar realizes he's trapped within a powerful wind barrier. There is no escape from this formidable magic. Oscar's eye narrows with grim determination, resolving to fight back against the overwhelming force. Oscar's gloved hand swiftly touches the ground, activating a complex, glowing magic circle beneath him. With a surge of power, Oscar unleashes Fire Bullet Pilsera, a concentrated projectile of flames erupting skyward. High above, Michelas observes Oscar's desperate counterattack, his expression unreadable. Michelas's gaze sharpens, the wind barrier around him intensifying as he prepares for the incoming fiery projectile. Michelas reacts with a surprised "oh" as he realizes Oscar's true intent. Unable to break the wind barrier directly, Oscar immediately targeted Michelas himself, the caster of the spell. A faint, knowing smirk plays on Michelas's lips, acknowledging Oscar's quick thinking. Oscar looks on, clearly puzzled by Michelas's reaction and the apparent ease with which his attack was dealt. The powerful wind barrier finally dissipates, leaving Oscar kneeling and seemingly exhausted on the stone pavement. Michelas descends, asking Oscar if he's already run out of mana. He then adds a chilling remark. Had Oscar not killed him in his mind, he would have been the one to die. Oscar, incredulous, responds, surely you jest. He then demands to know Michelas's true purpose in testing him so severely. Michelas explains that many in this world view magic as an exclusive privilege. He elaborates on the saying, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, implying that those who reveal too much talent too early lose opportunities. He wanted Oscar to experience this harsh reality firsthand. Michelas continues, admitting that he seems to have misjudged the true depths of Oscar's potential. Oscar, processing Michelas's words, clarifies, if I stand out too much, I'll be targeted like this. Is that what you mean? Michelas confirms with a firm precisely. He reveals that extremists exist who cannot tolerate the rise of talented commoners, seeing them as a threat to their established order. Michelas's expression grows somber, reflecting on the dangerous reality he just described. Oscar's gaze hardens as a dark vision flashes, a hooded figure consumed by a sinister red aura representing the extremists who cannot tolerate untapped talent. Enraged by the vision of such injustice, Oscar demands to know, who exactly are they? Michelas remains silent for a moment, his eyes closed, weighing his next words carefully. He slowly opens his eyes, a profound weariness etched onto his features. Michelas finally speaks, advising Oscar that if he truly wishes to understand the dangers he faces, he must first acquire the strength to protect himself within these walls. Oscar takes in Michelas's words, sensing the profound implications of this new path. Oscar repeats the phrase, the strength to protect myself, a new resolve beginning to form in his eyes. Oscar's mind races, realizing the true gravity of the situation. If Michelas had truly been his enemy, intent on killing him, Oscar would already be dead. A bead of sweat trickles down Oscar's temple as he closes his eyes, the sheer power of Michelas's abilities sinking in. A silent understanding passes between Michelas and Oscar, the test now concluded. Michelas subtly adjusts his attire, revealing a distinctive, glowing pendant on his chest. Oscar's curiosity is piqued by the glowing artifact, asking Michelas, that pendant, what exactly is it? Michelas holds up the pendant, casually asking if this proof of a magic saint interests Oscar. Oscar's eyes widen in understanding, realizing that magic saint, like sword saint, signifies the absolute highest rank achievable in their respective fields. Michela's declares, "Now then, I'll give you this," dropping a small, gleaming object towards Oscar, who questions, "A badge?" Oscar catches the badge in his gloved hand, its intricate design shimmering. Michela's, floating once more, gives Oscar a stern warning not to lose the badge, assuring him it will prove incredibly useful in the future. Oscar watches as Michela's ascends into the sky, leaving behind only swirling trails of wind as he vanishes. Elder Chun, surrounded by silent automatons, looks up from his scroll with a start, as if sensing a disturbance or a sudden shift in the world's balance. Elsewhere in the Grand Library, a red-haired woman smiles, seemingly oblivious to the subtle changes unfolding. Meanwhile, a starker reality unfolds elsewhere as Oscar's father collapses, his back grievously wounded, dark energy swirling around his fading form. His hand clenches, a surge of grim resolve. He recalls his past life, where a magic saint was among those who ended him, and vows that if they ever target him again in this life, then he must not only face them but utterly surpass the very saint he once was, a ghost of his former power haunting his present. The scene shifts to a grand, opulent hall, where a majestic banner bearing a golden, winged emblem hangs, symbolizing the institution's prestige. The bustling academy classroom, students whisper, "Hey, did you hear? That guy is the first commoner to enter the top class." Another adds, "I heard he hit every single target in the selection exam." A student with striking white hair scoffs, his internal thoughts dismissing a commoner's aspirations as pathetic, confident they won't last long and will be weeded out soon enough. A sudden scream echoes through the hall, drawing Oscar's attention as he stands at the top of a grand staircase, looking towards a distant doorway. Footsteps descend the staircase, a stark contrast to the murmuring students below, including the white-haired student, who now look up with a mix of curiosity and disdain. The white-haired student's eye narrows, a flash of cold disdain or perhaps a hint of unease crossing his features as he observes the approaching figure. Oscar approaches, his back to the viewer, as the other students react with startled expressions, a collective gasp of surprise filling the room. The white-haired student's surprise is palpable as he recognizes Oscar, muttering, "That guy." Oscar continues to walk, his expression serious, as he internally questions, what on earth happened? Michela's meditates, enveloped in swirling blue energy, as a voice explains the fundamentals of mana control, just as running makes it easier to breathe. By repeatedly releasing mana, the voice continues, detailing the process of increasing one's magical capacity. The amount your circuits can take in will increase, the lesson concludes, illustrating the growth of magical prowess through diligent practice. Oscar gazes out, his profile illuminated by a bright, hopeful light, a testament to his unwavering resolve and progress. Standing before a towering window, Oscar absorbs the radiant light, a quiet moment of introspection and growth. He observes his hand, mana visibly swirling, noting his progress. Little by little, the duration I can release mana is growing. Oscar sits on the floor of his room, his eyes wide with surprise, perhaps startled by a sudden sound or a new realization. With a determined expression, Oscar reaches for the doorknob, his fist clenched, ready to face whatever lies beyond. Stepping into a blinding light, Oscar reflects, this is the first time I've ever wanted to become strong. He finishes, adjusting his gloves, a newfound resolve burning in his eyes. Oscar strides into the classroom, his presence drawing the attention of the students, including the white-haired student who watches him intently. Oscar's gaze is sharp as he ponders the commotion, wondering what on earth happened to him. Elder Chun and Lily Lowell watch with wide eyes. The white-haired student observes Oscar, thinking, as I thought, he's here too. Oscar's attention then falls upon Lily Lowell, sitting diligently in her seat as he thinks, and she is. Delicate bookmark slips from her grasp, fluttering to the floor beside her desk. With a swift motion, Oscar's gloved hand reaches down, retrieving the fallen bookmark. Oscar extends his hand, offering the bookmark back to a surprised Lily Lowell, asking, is this bookmark yours? Oh, Lily exclaims, her face lighting up with a grateful smile as she takes the bookmark. Thank you so much. Clutching the bookmark, Lily Lowell beams, her cheerful demeanor fully restored. Oscar remarks, you really do like flowers, don't you? Catching Lily Lowell off guard, who responds with a surprised as a faint image of her in a witch's hat appears behind her. Oscar clarifies his comment, introducing himself, I'm Oscar, nice to meet you, and asks if he can sit beside her. Lily Lowell, with a bright smile, readily agrees, of course, please do, and introduces herself in return, I'm Lily Lowell. Oscar looks around the now-filled classroom, observing it seems everyone has gathered. Suddenly, a powerful, unknown voice booms through the room, startling the students, who look around in confusion, one exclaiming, whose voice is that? The mysterious voice emanates from a glowing, rapidly turning book, its pages fluttering with golden energy as the students wonder, where is it coming from? From the glowing book, a stern woman with light purple hair emerges, introducing herself as Ruth, the instructor now in charge of this first-class group. Ruth continues, acknowledging their successful completion of the selection exam, a testament to their proven talent. Oscar, observing her, realizes she is the same formidable teacher from the first-class entrance exam. Ruth then reveals the next phase of their training. Starting next week, they will engage in combat classes against real monsters. These intense sessions, she declares, will be known as field training. Oscar's mind races, a silent thought of disbelief echoing his apprehension at the prospect of combat. To maintain balance and fairness during the training, Ruth instructs them to form parties of 5. Students murmur, with Elder Chun questioning if unbalanced refers to magic power. Ruth clarifies, explaining that the measurement will be based on circuit performance, specifically the total mana capacity their bodies can hold. Oscar and Lily Lowell listen intently as the details of the upcoming training are laid out. A knowing smile plays on Ruth's lips, hinting at the next phase of her assessment. With a confident smirk, Ruth announces that she has already completed the mana capacity measurements. Above the students, luminous orbs of light appear, each pulsating with varying intensity, a visual representation of their mana. Lily Lowell gazes up in astonishment at the glowing orb hovering above her, a clear indicator of her magical potential. Ruth's voice resonates, explaining that the intensity of these ethereal light orbs above their heads directly correlates to their magical prowess. She concludes, stating that these orbs precisely indicate each student's total mana capacity. Reddish-brown-haired man, clearly possessing a powerful mana capacity, regards his glowing orb with a confident smirk. Ruth observes the results, noting several students have already reached the impressive mage tier based solely on their mana capacity. Her gaze then shifts, focusing intently on Oscar, a question hanging in the air about his own potential. Above Oscar, only a faint, flickering orb appears, leaving him bewildered and questioning the very nature of this mana measurement magic. Whispers ripple through the classroom as other students mock Oscar's seemingly low mana, questioning his place in the first class and dismissing him as a mere commoner. One student openly laughs, his expression filled with disdain for Oscar's apparent lack of magical talent. Another student giggles, asserting that no one will want to form a party with someone of such low mana capacity. Despite the humiliating whispers, Oscar forces himself to refocus, pushing away the disheartening thoughts. A gentle touch on his shoulder breaks Oscar's internal turmoil, drawing his attention to the unexpected. Lily Lowell, with a slight blush, hesitantly begins to speak to Oscar. To Oscar's surprise, Lily Lowell bravely offers to form a party with him, a kind gesture amidst the ridicule. Oscar, taken aback by her sincerity, asks if she's truly sure about her offer. Lily Lowell beams, confidently asserting that anyone who appreciates flowers cannot possibly be a bad person, holding up a small floral emblem. Then, a slight hesitation, as Lily Lowell remembers they still need to ask the reddish-brown-haired man for his agreement. Oscar repeats the name, reddish-brown-haired man, clearly unfamiliar with who she is referring to. The reddish-brown-haired man turns with a sneer, questioning their audacity to include him in their party. Elder Chun approaches the reddish-brown-haired man, politely expressing his sincere appreciation if he were allowed to join their group. Reddish-brown-haired man scoffs, turning his head away in clear annoyance at Elder Chen's request. Oscar stands calmly by, observing the tense interaction unfold. The reddish-brown-haired man lets out a disdainful humph, declaring with a condescending tone that protecting the weak is, after all, a noble's duty. He finally concedes, agreeing to take Elder Chen along, but only as a luggage carrier, a clear insult. As groups begin to form, students move about the classroom, organizing themselves for the upcoming field training. Oscar and Lily Lowell walk together, a small, newly formed party navigating the bustling classroom. As Oscar and Lily Lowell navigate the bustling classroom, Lily Lowell turns to Oscar, her curiosity piqued. She asks him how long he has been practicing magic. Oscar, with a calm demeanor, replies that he was fortunate enough to meet someone who could teach him. Lily Lowell's eyes widen in disbelief, her jaw dropping as she processes his words. She exclaims, questioning if he means in only half a year. Oscar maintains a composed expression, his gaze steady as he observes Lily Lowell's shocked reaction. Meanwhile, in a different part of the Grand Hall, Professor Ruth walks with purpose, a book clutched in her hand. She pauses, glancing over her shoulder as if sensing a presence. Professor Ruth turns to face Zazan, greeting him casually. Zazan then demands to know what she wants. Zazan's expression hardens as he questions why a commoner like Oscar is allowed in the first-class group. He dismisses Oscar's presence, confident that someone so inexperienced will quickly fall behind in first class. Zazan clenches his fist, his irritation evident as he considers the situation. Professor Ruth offers a knowing smile, asking Zazan if he is referring to Oscar, the commoner. Her gaze sharpens, a hint of challenge in her eyes as she begins to speak. Zazan's confident demeanor falters, his eyes widening slightly in surprise at Professor Ruth's words. Professor Ruth asserts that Oscar will grow stronger, suggesting that in a few months, Zazan might find himself echoing the very sentiments he now expresses. He takes a step forward, emphasizing her point. Professor Ruth adjusts her glasses, revealing a sly smile as she explains that this is precisely why they have field training. She elaborates on the system, stating that most nobles train from childhood and already possess at least mage adept level mana, illustrating the hierarchy of magical ranks. Lily Lowell looks up at Oscar, seeking confirmation, asking if her understanding of the system is correct. Oscar considers the implications, noting that mage adept rank means deployment against monsters, and finds it impressive to reach that level at such a young age. A chibi Lily Lowell enthusiastically declares that Oscar is the truly impressive one. She grabs Oscar's shirt, marveling at his unbelievable achievement of reaching apprentice rank in just 6 months. Oscar looks contemplative, an ethereal figure looming behind him as he questions if this truly represents his talent. Oscar then shifts the conversation, asking Lily Lowell about her relationship with Levin. Lily Lowell proudly explains that Levin's family is a prestigious noble house, with many surrounding families seeking their protection. Oscar directly asks if her family is one of those who follow Levin. Lily Lowell beams, confidently asserting that Levin will be a serious protector. Oscar, however, internally muses that while this is a rare chance for real combat experience, being protected would be inconvenient for his goals. Professor Ruth, with the silver-haired eye-patch official standing nearby, announces that she will explain the training once more. She details the assignment, spending one night in a forest known to contain low-rank monsters. Brown-haired man remarks that this is yet another practical task following the selection exam. Professor Ruth holds up a magic scroll, explaining that the papers given to each team leader contain spells for a defensive barrier and a signal flare, to be used if the situation becomes dangerous. A male student finds the task easy, asking if they simply use the magic paper if monsters attack. Professor Ruth's expression turns cunning as she delivers a single, ominous word. However, the atmosphere instantly shifts, and Oscar observes the other students' surprised reactions, realizing the immense importance of being in the first class for nobles. The reddish-brown-haired man confidently declares that as long as he is present, there is no way they will withdraw from the training. He points decisively, proclaiming himself a noble among nobles and vowing to protect everyone. Having proclaimed himself a noble among nobles and vowing to protect everyone, Oscar firmly places his massive duffel bag on the ground, the weight of it echoing his silent resolve. Lily Lowell expresses concern over the sheer amount of luggage Oscar is carrying, but he confidently assures her that he can handle it as it was part of their agreement. The reddish-brown-haired man observes Oscar, smugly remarking that he appreciates individuals who understand their position. As Oscar shoulders the heavy pack and walks alongside Lily Lowell, the reddish-brown-haired man calls out a final, dismissive warning not to slow him down. Suddenly, the reddish-brown-haired man stumbles, kneeling on the rough ground, and asks if anyone else finds it hard to walk, feigning concern while clearly struggling himself. Oscar, with a calm smile, extends a helping hand towards the struggling reddish-brown-haired man, whose face contorts in a mixture of frustration and humiliation at the offer. In a fit of pride and anger, the reddish-brown-haired man violently shoves Oscar's outstretched hand away, yelling at him to shut up. As the reddish-brown-haired man curses his own weakness, Oscar gently steadies Lily Lowell, asking if she is all right, to which she responds with a flustered affirmation. Lily Lowell, still recovering, can't help but wonder why Oscar maintains such a relaxed demeanor despite the escalating tension. Suddenly, Oscar's eyes snap open, a desperate warning tearing from his throat as he shouts, "Don't go any further." The air around him crackles with an unseen energy. Ignoring Oscar's frantic warning, the reddish-brown-haired man angrily retorts, demanding to know who Oscar thinks he is to give orders, as he takes another defiant step forward. Oscar's expression hardens as he recognizes the familiar sensation, realizing it mirrors the magical barrier he once encountered in Isabelle's workshop. Below them, a massive, glowing red magic circle fully activates, engulfing the group as a system notification confirms, a space-affecting magic. The reddish-brown-haired man screams in terror, completely engulfed by the shattering red energy, demanding to know what is happening. Amidst the chaotic shattering, Oscar's eyes remain piercingly focused, observing the unfolding spatial magic with an unyielding intensity. A blinding light erupts, tearing through the remnants of the red magic as the narrator calls out to everyone, signaling a dramatic shift. As the light fades, Lily Lowell looks around in utter bewilderment, realizing they are no longer in the familiar forest they were just traversing. A weathered tree trunk, overgrown with vines, reveals a distinct Roman numeral V carved into its surface, a silent clue to their mysterious new location. A look of profound shock crosses Lily Lowell's face as she pieces together the clue, wondering if they've been transported to the infamous 5th training ground, a revelation that makes Elder Chun gasp in disbelief. The brown-haired man questions if this isn't a training area reserved for upperclassmen, while the dark-haired man panics, demanding to know why they've been sent to such a dangerous location. As a foot descends with a faint magical shimmer, Oscar's thoughts race, questioning if the teleportation circle was a deliberate trap set by an unknown entity, while distant figures gather under an ominous sky. A piece of paper is violently ripped apart, the sharp sound echoing the tension in the air. The reddish-brown-haired man, with a smug smirk, continues to tear pieces of paper, while Elder Chun watches on in growing distress. Elder Chun confronts the reddish-brown-haired man, now revealed as Mr. Levin, about his actions, but Mr. Levin simply smirks, dismissing their concerns as overreactions and claiming the teleportation was merely an accidental, unerased academy circle. Mr. Levin maintains his smug facade, feigning ignorance of Oscar's skepticism before declaring that this unexpected turn of events is, in fact, a golden opportunity. With an air of false leadership, Mr. Levin commands the group to proceed, urging everyone to follow him into the unknown. As Mr. Levin confidently leads the way, pointing forward, the other students are quickly swayed, expressing their admiration and declaring that such decisiveness is to be expected from the chosen heir of the Aldrich family. Lily Lowell, with a worried expression, earnestly requests Oscar to stay by her side, clearly uneasy about their predicament and Mr. Levin's leadership. Hidden behind the shoulders of his companions, Oscar sighs in exasperation, a silent good grief echoing his frustration with the unfolding events. Oscar's gaze sharpens, his eyes wide with a serious intensity as he steels himself for the impending challenges of the treacherous training ground. The dark forest comes alive with ominous glowing eyes emerging from the shadows, followed by the terrifying snarl of a monstrous wolf-like creature, signaling immediate danger. Despite a flicker of anxiety, Oscar's resolve solidifies, recognizing this perilous situation as a rare chance for invaluable combat experience and an opportunity to test out new spells. As Oscar charges headlong towards the approaching threat, Mr. Levin screams in panic, demanding to know why Oscar is foolishly closing the distance. As Oscar charges headlong towards the approaching threat, Elder Chun, with a confident smirk, steps forward, declaring that a mere commoner like Oscar should stay back. He boasts he will demonstrate how a true noble fights. Oscar, taken aback by Elder Chun's arrogance, silently questions the concept of a noble fight as he observes the unfolding situation. Elder Chun stands firm, spear in hand, facing a pack of menacing, glowing-eyed wolf-like creatures that emerge from the dark forest, their roars echoing through the trees. His grip tightens on the sturdy wooden spear, Elder Chun readying himself for the impending confrontation with the beasts. A powerful defensive magic activates around Elder Chun, causing the ground to rupture and glow with a golden light as massive rock formations begin to rise. Earth violently erupts, trapping several of the wolf-like creatures within towering rock spires, their momentum halted by the sudden magical barrier. Behind the newly formed rock shield, Elder Chun shouts a command, urging his allies, including Michelle's and Lily Lowell, to act now, indicating the start of their offensive. With fierce determination, Elder Chun unleashes dual spells, first chanting Anadrich as a green magic circle illuminates, followed by Naradrich as a blue one appears, preparing a coordinated magical assault. Beams of vibrant green and blue energy erupt from the casters, striking the trapped wolf-like creatures with precision, creating a dazzling display of magical power. Observing the coordinated attack, Oscar recognizes their strategy, noting how they've effectively divided roles for offense and defense, seamlessly covering each other's vulnerabilities during spellcasting. Oscar, with a focused gaze and his dagger-like weapon in hand, ponders to himself, acknowledging that this intricate teamwork is indeed how a noble fights. Despite their coordinated efforts, Elder Chen's confident expression turns to panic as he realizes the sheer numbers of the wolf-like creatures, exclaiming that there are simply too many of them. Massive wolf-like creature's tail sweeps dangerously close, forcing Elder Chun to lean back precariously, barely avoiding the powerful blow. Elder Chun loses his footing, stumbling to one knee as he cries out in alarm, realizing he has slipped and is now vulnerable to the relentless onslaught. From behind, Oscar moves with decisive speed, his curved blade glinting as he prepares to enter the fray and protect his vulnerable allies. As a monstrous wolf-like creature lunges directly at Lily Lowell, who is sprawled on the ground, Oscar bursts forward, a blur of motion, determined to intercept the attack. A display of raw power, Oscar delivers a devastating aerial strike, sending the wolf-like creature flying backward in a brilliant explosion of fire. The wolf-like creature recoils from the powerful impact, its snarling face contorted in pain and surprise, drool flying from its fangs. Elder Chun and Lily Lowell watch in stunned relief as Oscar single-handedly turns the tide of battle, the magical residue of his attack falling like rain around them. Lily Lowell, still shaken but grateful, profusely thanks Oscar, admitting that he was a lifesaver in their moment of peril. Oscar, ever modest, dismisses her gratitude, stating it's nothing and calmly observes the defeated creatures, concluding that the intense skirmish looks like it's over. Indeed, the battle concludes, leaving several wolf-like creatures sprawled motionless on the ground, a testament to Oscar's decisive intervention. As night falls, a serene full moon casts its gentle glow over the quiet forest, signaling a period of calm after the intense battle. Later, by a crackling campfire, Elder Chun adopts a smug demeanor, telling Oscar that a commoner getting to see us fight this early on is lucky, hinting at his continued condescension. Oscar, unfazed by Elder Chen's remark, simply offers a polite yeah, maintaining his calm and composed expression. Oscar then offers a genuine compliment, acknowledging their impressive coordination and their skillful use of defensive magic. Elder Chun, visibly surprised and slightly flustered by Oscar's unexpected praise, awkwardly responds with a hesitant, yeah. However, Oscar's thoughts quickly shift, a critical however, signaling a deeper analysis of the magic he just witnessed. His mind visualizes the raw power of a spell, an explosive burst of fire from a simple stick, hinting at the potential he seeks. Oscar's internal monologue reveals his ambition. He yearns for individual strength, a power so immense it could break through even their magic. He questions if he's limited to simply keep training steadily like this to achieve it. Lily Lowell gently calls out Oscar's name, drawing him out of his deep contemplation. With a look of regret, Lily Lowell confesses that despite telling Oscar not to leave her side, she ended up being the one protected, feeling a touch of shame. Lily Lowell offers Oscar a mug, saying here, while Oscar, accepting the drink, humbly replies, "It was nothing," and adds a polite thank you for her gesture. Oscar, changing the subject, begins a new line of inquiry with a thoughtful, "By the way." Lily Lowell explains the principle of magic potency, stating that it's common sense that the closer a spell is to the caster, the higher its potency, as Oscar recalls the wolf's attack. Elder Chin interjects with a dismissive wave, telling Oscar, "You don't need to worry about it, okay?" and muttering condescendingly about commoners. A visual explanation illustrates the concept. The further away from us the magic gets, it returns to nature as mana, depicting the natural dissipation of magical energy. Oscar, connecting the dots, realizes, so that's the logic behind why spells eventually dissipate, as Lily Lowell animatedly continues her explanation. Lily Lowell lets out a nervous laugh, clutching her mug as she admits she might have brewed the concoction a bit too potent. Oscar watches her closely, the gears in his head turning as he processes the information. A faint smile plays on Oscar's lips. The explanation regarding the dissipation of spells is starting to form a new foundation for his understanding of mana. His gaze sharpens, focusing on the rising steam. In this moment of quiet observation, a revolutionary thought begins to take root in his mind. Oscar murmurs a quiet acknowledgement, his mind already miles away. Lily Lowell looks on, her cheerful expression replaced by a hint of curiosity at his sudden intensity. Noticing his distant stare, Lily Lowell calls out his name, wondering if the brew was truly too much for him to handle. Oscar stares into the swirling liquid of his mug. He realizes that increasing the power within a vessel is a concept he's seen before, but in a different discipline. His eyes widen as the connection clicks. This isn't just magic theory, it's fundamentally similar to the principles of sword chi. The logic is clear. A swordsman circulates energy within their body, compressing and enhancing it to reach peak lethality. It's a system of internal refinement. Oscar ponders the ultimate question. If he can apply that same compression and enhancement to pure magic power, what kind of monster would he become? Suddenly, a piercing scream shatters the silence of the forest. Oscar's focus snaps instantly toward the source of the commotion. Students scramble through the underbrush, their faces pale with terror as they shout for everyone to run for their lives. A roar of heat erupts nearby. The night sky is suddenly illuminated by an unnatural, violent surge of fire. Oscar and Lily Lowell stand frozen as a massive pillar of flame surges into the air, dwarfing the surrounding trees and casting long, dancing shadows. Lily Lowell gasps in disbelief at the torrent of flames. In the darkness of the woods, something massive and predatory begins to stir. Low, guttural growl vibrates through the air. Oscar narrows his eyes, catching sight of a beast that shouldn't exist in these training grounds. The creature unleashes a deafening roar, its maw opening wide to reveal rows of razor-sharp teeth and a throat glowing with embers. Elder Chun is paralyzed with fear, stammering that a dragon has no business being here. This is a threat meant for a demon emperor-level combatant, not students. Desperate, the students scream to use the magic paper for help, only for one to reveal in a panic that he destroyed his long ago. High above the chaos, a massive magic circle glows in the forest, acting as a remote observation point for the Academy's faculty. In the shadows, the silver-haired eye-patch official prepares his metallic-clawed gloves, his wires humming with a deadly, hidden intent. Moonlight washes over the silent clearing where the faculty monitors the exam, unaware of the specific disaster unfolding for Oscar's group. Elsewhere, terrified students huddle together under blankets, shivering as they listen to the distant, terrifying sounds of the forest. The purple-haired woman approaches Professor Isabelle, noting that it's time for their scheduled shift change in monitoring the students. The younger students whisper in awe, recognizing her as Isabelle of Life Creating. Her reputation precedes her as one of the Academy's elite. Checking the magical broadcast, Professor Isabelle observes the progress of the examinees, curious to see how the next generation is holding up. She admits she initially loathed the idea of babysitting what she considered incompetence, but a few individuals have caught her eye. She notes the performance of the first-class rank students, watching as they handle the standard challenges of the exam with expected ease. However, her expression shifts to concern. She notices that Oscar and his companions have vanished from the primary monitoring feed. The purple-haired woman agrees, stating that the familiars used for the broadcast have been acting erratically in that specific sector. Oscar sits by the fire, his mind still racing with the potential of magic compression, while Elder Chun relaxes in the background, unaware of the coming storm. Lily Lowell and Elder Chun take a moment to rest, the peaceful atmosphere of their camp a stark contrast to the chaos about to engulf them. She confronts Oscar, demanding to know if he truly intends to fight a dragon, to which Oscar sternly replies that it is their only path to survival. One of the men, the brown-haired man, frantically insists that they can rely on reddish-brown-haired man's defensive magic. The reddish-brown-haired man, visibly shaken, believes that if they simply endure the attacks, the professors will surely notice the anomaly and intervene. He activates his skill, chanting Earth Shield Gaia Through as a powerful golden magic circle erupts beneath him, forming a formidable barrier. Brown-haired man and dark-haired man recoil behind a rocky outcrop, the brown-haired man shouting in disbelief, questioning reddish-brown-haired man's actions. From off-panel, the dark-haired man yells, questioning the reddish-brown-haired man's foolishness, claiming no shield could block such an attack. Undeterred, the reddish-brown-haired man declares his intent to survive, even if it means alone. The brown-haired man cries out in despair, his face contorted in fear, lamenting that their protector had promised to keep them safe. The dark-haired man grimly acknowledges Oscar's earlier words, while the brown-haired man adds that with the threat's gaze fixed upon them, escape is no longer an option. The activated skill unleashes a devastating torrent of earthen energy, tearing through the ground with explosive force and brilliant light. As the dust settles, the brown-haired man anxiously questions if their attack was successful, a flicker of desperate hope in his voice. Lily Lowell bravely announces her intention to draw the creature's attention, urging the others to use the precious moments to call for Oscar's help. The colossal, shadowy form of the dragon-like creature looms under the moonlit sky, its eyes burning with malevolent energy, completely unfazed by their attacks. Creature retaliates, discharging twin blasts of frigid blue energy that rip through the air, signaling its counterattack. The brown-haired man screams in terror, "I don't want to die," while the dark-haired man, utterly defeated, can only think, "It's over." The monstrous entity unleashes a devastating torrent of fiery orange energy from its maw, a potent breath attack that incinerates everything in its path. Just as despair threatens to consume them, Oscar appears, his presence a sudden beacon of hope, drawing Lily Lowell's gaze. The narrator explains the creature's terrifying ability. It absorbs the ambient magic power from the atmosphere, converting it into a raw energy source for its attacks. As the creature pulses with absorbed magical energy, the narrator adds a crucial detail. Despite its formidable appearance, this absorption is merely its fundamental nature. Oscar stands firm, his blue-gray eyes gleaming with confidence, a small, elegant dagger-like weapon held ready in his hand, his left arm radiating a faint blue glow. With a swift, decisive strike, Oscar's glowing blue fist connects directly with the creature, unleashing an explosive burst of orange energy. The narrator poses a critical question. What would be the outcome if that raw, natural power could be meticulously condensed and refined? The other survivors, including Lily Lowell, brown-haired man, dark-haired man, and reddish-brown-haired man, watch in stunned terror as Oscar prepares his next move, their faces reflecting sheer disbelief. From above, Oscar channels an immense surge of raw power, a colossal, glowing purple spike of energy descending like a divine judgment, piercing the fiery earth. Refined purple energy strikes true, impaling the creature directly through its open maw, unleashing a blinding explosion of devastating force. The creature's colossal form begins to dissipate, dissolving into a maelstrom of shimmering purple energy and fragmented particles, its defeat absolute. Amidst the fading embers and settling dust, Oscar stands, utterly calm and composed, his presence radiating an undeniable aura of mastery. The night sky reclaims its tranquility over the dark forest, the distant lights a stark reminder of the world beyond their intense battle. A profound silence descends upon the landscape, the echoes of the fierce confrontation slowly fading into the stillness of the night. The silver-haired eye-patch official stands amidst fading magical circles, his expression a mix of disbelief and fury. He mutters in disbelief, finding it a joke that a mere freshman could have defeated his chimera, and wonders about the true nature of the power he just witnessed. A sudden jolt runs through the silver-haired eye-patch official as he senses an unseen presence. He wonders if someone has managed to sniff him out. His face contorts into a menacing sneer as the silver-haired eye-patch official declares that his target was lucky to escape this time, but vows to eliminate them in the future. A system prompt appears, explaining that only those of noble blood are permitted to wield this precious power, as Elder Chun is shown enveloped in a golden aura. Elder Chun stands, observing the shimmering magical particles that float in the air, a testament to the power he has just witnessed or invoked. Michela's grins, a look of triumph on his face, as he clenches his fist, realizing that he actually succeeded in his endeavor. Blue magical energy crackles around Michela's hands as he explains his breakthrough, applying the principles of sword chi refinement to magical power. Beaming with pride, Michela's declares that this is a unique theory, one that only he, a former swordsman, could have possibly realized. The massive chimera lies defeated, its head tilted back, blood dripping from its maw, a testament to the brutal power that brought it down. Two observers peer down, one questioning if the deed was truly done, while the other concludes that the creature must be dead after such an impact as a faint crackling sound echoes. The reddish-brown-haired man stares in utter shock, clutching a massive, ornate sword as he gasps, "Impossible." The dark-haired man looks towards Oscar, a dawning realization on his face as he understands that it wasn't him, but Oscar, a mere commoner, who had protected him. Lily Lowell rushes forward, catching Oscar as he begins to collapse, her voice filled with concern as she calls out his name. Kneeling beside a weary Oscar, Lily Lowell asks if he is all right, to which Oscar replies that he is just a little tired after the intense confrontation. Oscar explains the severe recoil he's experiencing, stating it feels just as strong as the strain he put on himself, describing the painful, burning sensation as if his whole body is about to burst, while unseen eyes glow ominously in the surrounding forest. A collective sense of unease settles over the group as Oscar, Lily Lowell, and Elder Chun, along with the other two men, look up, sensing the numerous glowing eyes that watch them from the darkened trees. The sudden, earth-shattering rumble, a massive, stone-like golem bursts from the ground, revealing itself as a new formidable threat. Perched confidently atop the newly emerged golem, the red-haired woman explains that she found traces of a teleportation circle and came to investigate, confirming her suspicions were correct. Oscar's eyes widen in shock and recognition as he gasps out the name, Isabelle. Oscar collapses once more, falling to the ground amidst the worried gazes of Lily Lowell, Elder Chun, and the other two men, while the red-haired woman observes the scene from her perch on the golem. The red-haired woman stands over the lifeless body of the chimera, a silent observer of the battle's grim conclusion. A look of weariness crosses the red-haired woman's face as she presses a hand to her head, her eyes closed in apparent pain or fatigue. As Lily Lowell and Elder Chun tend to a recovering Oscar, the red-haired woman's stern voice cuts through the air, warning them that once they return, she will hear from each and every one of them about what transpired. The red-haired woman stands tall on a jagged rock formation, her gaze sweeping across the distant landscape, a silent sentinel. As the group departs, the red-haired woman observes the horizon, noting that the sun is finally coming up, signaling the end of a long and tumultuous night. The morning sun illuminates the magnificent and imposing structure of the academy, its spires reaching towards a clear, blue sky. Inside a lavish office, Oscar sits quietly on a plush couch, facing a robed figure in a wide-brimmed hat who is seated behind a grand desk. The robed figure, presumably the head of the academy, expresses his dismay, reflecting on the unprecedented events that occurred within the academy's walls. Oscar listens intently, his expression serious and contemplative as the robed figure speaks. The robed figure reveals a disturbing truth. It seems some scoundrels, targeting talented commoners, have managed to infiltrate the academy itself. Oscar's eyes widen in surprise, clearly taken aback by the robed figure's revelation. A silent exclamation escapes Oscar, his mind reeling from the implications of the infiltration. The robed figure then shifts his tone, commending Oscar for doing well to survive the perilous encounter. Oscar smiles confidently, stating that his survival is a direct result of his unwavering decision to become strong. Oscar continues, believing he has already managed to gain a significant foothold in his goal of becoming strong. Gazing out the window, the robed figure's expression turns grim as he acknowledges that actual harm has now been done within the academy. From his vantage point above, the robed figure declares that as the leader of the institution, he must now tell Oscar something harsh. Oscar looks on with a questioning gaze, his name then spoken by the robed figure, signaling the impending serious conversation. The robed figure, Elder Chun, delivers a shocking ultimatum to Oscar. He must abandon the academy and live a life without magic. Elder Chun explains that this drastic measure is Oscar's only path to survival, given that he has been targeted by unknown forces. Oscar, now cloaked, reflects on the implications of a life devoid of magic, a profound thought weighing heavily on him. Fleeting memory or vision shows ordinary people living joyfully, one even holding a glowing artifact, perhaps symbolizing a simple life without extraordinary powers. Oscar recalls his father's words from his youth, reminding him that magic isn't everything in life, as a comforting hand rests on his shoulder. His father's voice echoes, asserting that countless individuals find happiness by simply looking out into the world without relying on magic. Young Oscar is shown practicing with a sword as his father's wisdom continues, urging him not to discard the happiness he can grasp at such a tender age. Oscar, surrounded by a magical aura and a smiling Lily Lowell, remembers a time of joy and potential, a stark contrast to the grim reality he now faces. His expression hardens as he internally rejects the idea of abandoning magic, a definitive no way echoing his resolve. Elder Chun observes Oscar, who remains seated, the tension palpable in the grand hall as their conversation reaches a critical point. Oscar's face contorts with a mix of frustration and disbelief, grappling with the weight of Elder Chun's proposal. Elder Chun, his back to the viewer, questions Oscar's persistent refusal, wondering about his stance after all this time. Oscar vehemently declares his refusal to quit, his gaze sharp with defiance as he questions the nature of the threat. Split image highlights both Elder Chun's wisdom and Oscar's determination as Oscar ponders the implications if his tormentors are within the academy itself. Elder Chun continues to watch Oscar, the silence in the hall amplifying the tension of their standoff. Oscar's face is etched with resolve as he reiterates, "After all this time, there's no way I can quit." Elder Chun, still facing away, presses Oscar for an explanation, demanding to know what was that. Oscar, with a respectful yet firm tone, expresses gratitude for Elder Chun's concern for his well-being. Oscar's thoughts return to the academy, asserting that if those targeting him are indeed within its walls, he has a plan. With a spark of ingenuity, Oscar reveals his idea. He intends to lure his hidden enemies out into the open. Elder Chun turns, a look of intrigue on his face, asking Oscar to elaborate on his bold strategy. Oscar's expression is resolute, his hand over his chest as he declares his intention to drag his adversaries into plain sight. Elder Chun's eye widens in surprise, a silent exclamation marking his shock at Oscar's audacious plan. Elder Chun then questions Oscar's fearlessness, asking if he is not afraid of dying in such a dangerous endeavor. Oscar's confident smirk returns as he asserts his absolute lack of intention to be devoured by his enemies. A brief heh escapes Elder Chun's lips, a sign of amusement or perhaps approval. Elder Chun bursts into hearty laughter, seemingly impressed by Oscar's unwavering resolve and courage. With a gesture of apology and respect, Elder Chun extends his hand, acknowledging Oscar's formidable determination. Elder Chun, with a serious expression, declares his intention to support Oscar's resolve. Oscar and Elder Chun seal their newfound alliance with a firm handshake, a moment of mutual respect and agreement. Oscar's expression is one of slight confusion, a quill-like object already clutched in his hand. With a distinct click, the intricate quill in Oscar's hand seems to activate or transform, hinting at its hidden potential. The scene shifts to a vast, ornate library, filled with towering bookshelves and a grand spiral staircase, a place of knowledge and ancient power. A close-up reveals the jar with a distinct L signature, hinting at the origin or purpose of the magical tool. Red-haired woman explains that while magic formulas can be drawn without special equipment, true mastery demands attention to one's tools. She emphasizes that to wield perfect, beautiful magic, the quality and care of one's instruments become paramount. Her words resonate as she concludes, stating that eventually, one must truly care about one's tools. Oscar, holding his now broken magical dagger, reflects on its failure, surprised it actually shattered. He wonders if the tool simply couldn't withstand the refined magical power he channeled through it. A sudden call breaks his contemplation as Lily Lowell eagerly shouts his name. Lily Lowell arrives, apologizing profusely for keeping Oscar waiting. She makes a cheerful and energetic entrance, seemingly having just finished her own errands. Elder Chun expresses his apologies for dragging Lily Lowell along on her day off, but she assures him it was no trouble as she had her own shopping to do. A friendly shopkeeper approaches, proudly declaring his establishment prides itself on its exceptional selection. The shopkeeper presents a masterpiece, certain it will capture attention, while Oscar inquires about the effects of its embedded gems. Before delving into its properties, the shopkeeper directs their attention to the price, a moment that leaves both Oscar and Lily Lowell wide-eyed. Dismayed, Lily Lowell suggests they move on to another shop, acknowledging the prohibitive cost. Chibi versions of Oscar and Lily Lowell frantically flee the shop, leaving the money-focused shopkeeper behind. Their desperate search continues as they run from another shop, seemingly overwhelmed by the prices. Under a clear, expansive sky, the bustling town's architecture provides a brief respite from their arduous quest. Lily Lowell explains that since many mages are nobles, there's a heavy emphasis on the aesthetic appeal of their tools. Feeling guilty for making her walk so much, Oscar offers to continue his search alone. Lily Lowell adamantly refuses, declaring she will stay with him until the very end, much to Oscar's slight surprise. A wary bystander warns them against entering, advising them to reconsider their choice. Oscar questions the warning, and the bystander reveals rumors of a scary shopkeeper who forces customers to buy unwanted items. Oscar looks up at the shop, pondering the ominous warning of being forced to buy things he doesn't want. Lily Lowell urgently grabs Oscar's arm, pleading with him to stop, fearing they might be trapped into a purchase. Despite the dire warnings, Oscar, with a confident smirk, observes that the shop remains in business, suggesting a hidden truth. With a firm grip, Oscar turns the doorknob, deciding to investigate the mysterious establishment for himself. He pushes open the door, stepping into the dimly lit interior of the rumored shop, with Lily Lowell hesitantly following. Oscar and Lily Lowell cautiously survey their surroundings, taking in the unique atmosphere of the shop. A sudden, heavy thud echoes through the quiet shop, drawing Oscar's attention sharply. Gruff shopkeeper's intimidating presence looms, his posture radiating an air of disdain and challenge. Oscar meets the shopkeeper's gaze with an unwavering, determined expression, refusing to be intimidated. The gruff shopkeeper's eye narrows, a silent challenge passing between him and Oscar. The menacing grip on a knife, the gruff shopkeeper utters a single, chilling word, "You." The shopkeeper's words are followed by a violent impact as a heavy object slams into the wooden floor, sending dust and tension swirling through the air. Oscar flinches as a small blade whizzes past, the sharp thwack of it embedding into the wall behind him serving as a lethal warning. Oscar's blue-gray eyes narrow, sharpening with an intense focus as he analyzes the volatile man standing before him. Terrified by the sudden outburst, Lily Lowell clutches her bag and begs Oscar to leave this dangerous establishment immediately. Despite her fear, Lily Lowell finds a sudden spark of resolve, declaring that she won't be intimidated and will complete her purchase right here. The shopkeeper lunges forward with a roar, demanding to know if they take him for some kind of fool who can't see through a disguise. The floorboards groan under the pressure of another heavy strike, the atmosphere in the shop turning suffocatingly heavy. Oscar maintains his composure even as Lily Lowell gasps in shock at the shopkeeper's sheer physical aggression. The man's face is a mask of fury, his eyes wide and bloodshot as he continues his tirade against the young customers. A cold, calculating light flickers in Oscar's gaze, his mind moving faster than the shopkeeper's temper. Lily Lowell stands her ground, her voice trembling but firm as she repeats her intent to buy from the shop. Lily Lowell's confidence wavers for a moment as she looks at the chaotic surroundings, questioning if they are making a grave mistake. Oscar stands with his back to the light, a silent silhouette contemplating the shopkeeper's strange insight. Breaking his silence, Oscar asks a pointed question. How did the man identify him as a swordsman so easily? The shopkeeper's expression shifts to one of grim expertise, his eyes scanning Oscar with the precision of a veteran warrior. He points out the subtle tilt in Oscar's center of gravity, a clear indicator of someone accustomed to the weight of a heavy blade on their hip. Oscar is taken aback, realizing the man's observational skills are far beyond those of a simple merchant. The three stand in the dimly lit shop, surrounded by rows of magical staves and ancient weaponry, the silence stretching between them. Oscar questions the man's history, noting that he only began his formal training in magic a mere 6 months ago. The shopkeeper grunts, dismissive of the timeline, and asks what Oscar is really looking for in this shop. Oscar prepares to explain his situation, his voice steady as he reaches for something hidden in his gear. He presents a broken dagger, the blade snapped clean through, explaining that his previous weapon simply couldn't handle the strain any longer. The shopkeeper takes one look at the shattered steel and scoffs, declaring the weapon to be completely and utterly useless in its current state. He points out that the internal magic formula hasn't just been damaged, it has been torn to shreds by an overwhelming surge of power. Confused by the technical jargon, Oscar asks for clarification while Lily Lowell watches the exchange with growing concern. The shopkeeper explains that while delicate mana manipulation is required, the true reason for this failure lies in the weapon's inability to channel such raw force. Oscar visibly flinches in surprise at the shopkeeper's unexpected response. Oscar pauses, deep in thought, as Elder Chun and Lily Lowell watch him with anticipation. Lily Lowell's eyes widen, fantasizing about the sheer wealth such a valuable item could provide, enough to live in luxury for an entire year. Both Elder Chun and Lily Lowell react with immediate, visible shock at Oscar's unexpected selection. He illustrates his point, explaining that in the heat of battle, the gravest fear is not weakness, but the failure or loss of one's essential tools. Elder Chun stares, a flicker of understanding and recognition dawning in his eyes at Oscar's profound insight. Oscar, surprised by this revelation, asks why such a personal item is displayed in the shop. Elder Chun remains silent, his back still turned, a heavy atmosphere settling in the shop. He then turns and walks away from Oscar and Lily Lowell, heading deeper into the shop. Lily Lowell watches him go, her expression filled with concern and confusion. Oscar observes Elder Chun disappear into a back room, a look of mild surprise on his face. Oscar lets out a small sound of surprise, unsure of Elder Chun's intentions. Elder Chen's figure recedes further into the dimly lit recesses of the shop. Oscar stands, a look of anticipation and slight bewilderment on his face. Lily Lowell watches the empty space where Elder Chun vanished, her expression a mix of curiosity and hope. Lily Lowell, relieved, lets out a sigh of exasperation, her bright eyes wide with lingering tension from the recent events. Her exhaustion is evident as she admits to herself, "Good grief, I was on edge the whole time." Lily Lowell turns to Oscar, a hint of accusation in her voice, asking if he feels no remorse about the situation. A sudden, ominous presence makes the air crackle with tension, the very structure of the room seeming to vibrate. Both Oscar and Lily Lowell freeze, their expressions shifting to alarm as the silver-haired eye-patch official materializes behind them, his gaze piercing. The silver-haired eye-patch official glares, his voice booming with fury, demanding to know why Oscar and Lily Lowell are present. Caught off guard, Oscar and Lily Lowell exchange a nervous glance, unsure how to respond to the sudden confrontation. The tension in the room thickens as the silver-haired eye-patch official's intimidating presence looms over the stunned Oscar and Lily Lowell. His voice sharpens, the silver-haired eye-patch official reiterating his question, demanding an explanation for their unexpected appearance. Oscar and Lily Lowell remain silent, their faces a mask of surprise and a hint of trepidation under the official's scrutiny. The silver-haired eye-patch official stands rigid, his gloved hands, adorned with metallic claws, tightening around thin straps, a subtle display of his underlying power. Oscar's blue-gray eyes widen, reflecting a dawning realization or a surge of intense emotion. Lily Lowell beams, seemingly unaffected by the previous tension, while Oscar maintains a thoughtful, slightly surprised expression. The dismissive huff, the silver-haired eye-patch official mutters a reluctant acceptance, though his tone remains stern. Oscar's father strides into the scene, greeting the silver-haired eye-patch official as Master Aean, who simply responds with Rod. Observing the new arrival, the silver-haired eye-patch official declares that they seem busy and decides to return later as he turns to leave. The silver-haired eye-patch official retreats, his figure shrinking into the distance, leaving Oscar and Lily Lowell to process the sudden encounter. Lily Lowell watches Oscar with a questioning gaze, her thoughts unspoken as he remains pensive. Oscar's father comments to Oscar that he is still as restless as ever, a familiar observation. Oscar's father then calls out, "Here, brat," as he holds something out to Oscar. Oscar's eyes widen in astonishment as he begins to utter, This magnificent weapon is crafted from the legendary origin tree. Its trunk is said to be impervious to decay, enduring even the harshest environments, while its leaves possess unique properties. Oscar's father explains its incredible properties, stating that it possesses absolute durability when it comes to mana, to which Oscar, wide-eyed, asks if it's truly that rare. Lily Lowell, now worried, stammers that such a rare item must be incredibly expensive, while Oscar shares her concern. Oscar's father turns away, leaving Oscar holding his new, invaluable partner, while Lily Lowell looks on, still processing the generosity. With a humble bow, Oscar expresses his profound gratitude, his voice soft but sincere, while Lily Lowell watches, her expression still a mix of surprise and admiration. Oscar's father, growing impatient, barks at Oscar to leave now that he's finished, eager to move on from the emotional exchange. His father's internal thoughts reveal a fierce determination not to let another customer leave unsatisfied, hinting at a deep-seated business pride. The scene shifts to a vast, empty lecture hall, its tiered seating and grand architecture awaiting the arrival of students, a stark contrast to the previous intimate moment. Two students in the lecture hall, one blonde and one brown-haired, lean in conspiratorially as the blonde student whispers, drawing his companion's attention. Lily Lowell explains that they are at the 5th practice ground for upperclassmen. Oscar then whispers about a magic circle malfunction, prompting Lily to add that it's a miracle anyone survived. Blonde student continues to gossip, revealing a rumor that a person named Levin abandoned others to save himself, to which the brown-haired man responds with a disgusted, gross. An imposing silver-haired eye-patch official stands in the classroom, his dark uniform and stern demeanor commanding attention, a figure of authority and perhaps menace. The silver-haired eye-patch official glares, asserting that someone clearly looks down on him, prompting an immediate and terrified apology from an unseen student. The camera pans across the ornate geometric patterns of the classroom ceiling, a moment of quiet reflection after the sudden tension. The silver-haired eye-patch official stands at the front of the grand lecture hall, an isolated student visible in the distant back rows, observing his every move. Oscar's eyes narrow, a profound thoughtfulness etched on his face as he observes the official, connecting past events with the present. Oscar's father reveals that Master Aean, the official, was once the captain of the squad to which his own son was assigned, a revelation that deepens the mystery. A flashback shows a grim squad, including the silver-haired eye-patch official and a figure in a witch's hat, moving through a dark, foreboding landscape, hinting at a tragic past mission. Oscar's father's somber narration reveals the painful truth. Aean was present when his son tragically fell on the battlefield. The silver-haired eye-patch official stands before a younger man, possibly Oscar's father, at a doorway, delivering news that will forever alter a family's fate. Lily Lowell's eyes widen in shock, her expression revealing her utter disbelief as she realizes the depth of the tragedy and Aemon's involvement. Oscar's father, still clinging to his gratitude, praises Aeon as a truly good man, despite his noble status, for treating his commoner son with such respect. Oscar's eyes, sharp and discerning, betray a growing suspicion, contrasting sharply with his father's trusting words. Oscar's father, startled by Oscar's insight, questions how he could possibly know such a detail about his son's prowess. Back in the classroom, Oscar sits composed, holding a book, his expression thoughtful as he processes the new information and its implications. Oscar's internal monologue connects the dots, realizing that instructor Aeon was one of the supervisors during the fateful field training exercise. Oscar's hand clenches into a fist, his resolve hardening as his eyes burn with a cold, determined intent, a silent vow taking shape. His inner voice accuses Aeon, confirming his suspicion. The silver-haired eye-patch official is the mastermind behind the attack against him. Oscar realizes Aeon remains oblivious to his discovery, perceiving this as a crucial opportunity to turn the tables. With fierce determination, Oscar declares his intent to make the first move this time, his eyes glowing with blue energy, ready to confront his adversary. The path to power is fraught with peril, a tapestry woven with the fates of those who dare to challenge destiny, their ambitions burning with a fierce, ethereal glow. As Oscar prepares to make his move elsewhere, the skull-masked figure stands before an ancient, pulsating magical array, its purple energy swirling with an ominous power, hinting at rituals yet to unfold. From the depths of the arcane, a voice resonates, a chilling whisper of immense power declaring its presence. "We," silver-haired eye-patch official sternly reminds an unseen subordinate. "We sent you to the academy expecting you to perform just as well there." The subordinate offers a curt reply, "Understood." The enigmatic purple entity's single glowing eye fixes on its target, a silent question reverberating. Is the school environment more grueling than the battlefield? With a slight frown, the silver-haired eye-patch official responds firmly, "No, sir." The mystical voice issues a chilling command, its words echoing with impatience. Then achieve some military results already. The skull-masked figure stands motionless, bathed in the ethereal glow of the magical array, seemingly absorbing the cryptic directive. The silver-haired eye-patch official looks up, a silent realization dawning on his face as he processes the implications of the directive. Far from the shadows of ancient rituals, the Grand Academy stands bathed in sunlight, a bastion of learning where Oscar's journey continues. Inside the academy, a senior official, visibly shaken, questions Oscar directly. "Aeon is the one who attacked you?" Oscar stands silently before the official, the weight of his recent confrontation with Aeon heavy in the air, confirming the unspoken accusation. The senior official shakes his head in disbelief, murmuring, "I can't believe it." Lost in thought, the senior official recalls Aemon's past. He was a brave man who would risk his life for his comrades. Oscar, unwavering, asserts his conviction. "I've heard about his past. Even so, I'm certain it's him." Reluctantly, the senior official concedes. "If you say so, then perhaps it really is true." He then states the critical obstacle. "However, I can't arrest him without proof." A confident smile spreads across Oscar's face as he declares, "That's why I'm here." The senior official's eye widens in surprise, a sudden realization dawning upon him. Oscar's mind races back to a past incident, just like when he suddenly attacked during the first field training. He recalls the cunning nature of his adversary, understanding the pattern of their attacks. Oscar deduces his enemy's strategy. If there's an opportunity with few witnesses and no evidence left behind, he won't miss it. He'll come for me. He elaborates on the ideal scenario, an opportunity with few witnesses. The perfect plan crystallizes in his mind. The mission to escort Her Imperial Highness the Princess. This is it. The princess is scheduled to enroll in Class 1, making her a prime target for a discreet attack. A robed figure explains the situation to another. However, due to the side effects of the ancestral magic, intricate details of her attire hint at her status and connection to the imperial lineage. Back in the classroom, Oscar observes his surroundings, his mind still focused on the unfolding plot, while Elder Chun and Lily Lowell are seen among the students. Lily Lowell, engrossed in her studies, remains unaware of the dangerous schemes brewing around her. Elder Chun, with a calm demeanor, also focuses on his lessons, seemingly oblivious to the underlying tensions. Oscar's thoughts continue to churn, recognizing the perfect trap, leaving the academy and heading to the imperial capital. For Aean, this is the best conditions to target me. The purple-haired woman concludes her explanation, looking at her audience and asking, "Any questions?" White-haired challenger begins, questioning the circumstances of Oscar's presence and stating his reservations. Oscar, from his seat, directly challenges the notion, asking if the individual truly possesses the strength to keep pace with him. With a sharp glance, the challenger confidently affirms his capabilities, simply stating, "Yes." The purple-haired woman addresses the assembly, revealing the shocking truth. Based on recent field training, Oscar hasn't just kept up, he has already surpassed them all. The challenger's eyes widen in utter disbelief at the revelation, his face a mask of shock. Lily Lowell continues to read, seemingly unfazed by the unfolding drama around her. Oscar looks on, a silent question forming in his expression as he processes the situation. The challenger scoffs, recalling the Oscar he knew as an insignificant commoner, barely a disciple, incapable of even basic spells. Oscar's face registers a mix of surprise and indignation at the dismissive words aimed at him. He expresses his utter bewilderment at the sudden influx of people praising Oscar, one after another. Images of the red-haired woman, Elder Chun, and Oscar flash, illustrating the challenger's growing frustration. He points out the audacity of claims that Oscar's grades were actually higher, his voice laced with challenge. His voice resonates with incredulity, finding the entire situation completely baffling. Challenger's face contorts with barely contained fury, his teeth clenched in frustration. He points an accusing finger directly at Oscar, his expression a furious challenge. He roars, demanding Oscar show every ounce of his power as a mage. Oscar stammers in shock, utterly taken aback by the sudden, aggressive demand. Purple-haired woman covers her mouth, a subtle sigh escaping her lips at the escalating tension. With a knowing smile, the purple-haired woman declares the terms, a duel, with the loser removed from the mission. The challenger smirks, accepting the terms with a defiant "suit yourself." A blinding pillar of light erupts from the ground, drawing a surprised gasp from Oscar. A fierce determination ignites in Oscar's eyes as he prepares for the coming battle. Challenger activates his magic, raising his wand as a flurry of snowflakes begins to fall. Powerful ice shards and intricate magic circles manifest, chilling the air and setting the stage for the duel. The challenger yells, urging Oscar to prepare for the impending battle, his voice echoing with anticipation. The magical energy intensifies, a vast ice magic circle solidifying around them, ready for activation. A grim determination settles on Oscar's face as he steels himself for the fight ahead. Oscar looks up, a silent declaration forming in his mind. He is ready. The vast arena lies silent, awaiting the epic clash of mages, the air thick with anticipation. From the stands, Elder Chun and Lily Lowell observe with keen interest, their expressions a mix of curiosity and concern. Oscar's gaze sharpens, anticipating the first move of his opponent, fully focused on the impending duel. The white-haired challenger, flanked by two other men, walks forward with an air of calm confidence, ready to begin the duel. Gazes forward, his blue eyes sharp and focused, a resolute expression on his face as the challenge begins. A symbolic clash of wills, as one hand clenches in determination while the other recoils, indicating the intensity of the impending confrontation. He stands before Oscar, his fist clenched as he speaks with fierce intensity, while Oscar, axe in hand, meets his gaze. Oscar sits, his hands clasped, a thoughtful and determined look settling upon his features. The grand spires of a majestic academy pierce the clear sky, a symbol of knowledge and power. The reddish-brown-haired man ascends a staircase, glancing back with a sense of purpose, his bandaged hand a testament to recent struggles. Elder Chun notices the reddish-brown-haired man's arrival, remarking that he is late. Elder Chun questions if someone was too afraid to leave the dorms, prompting a smaller student to tell him to cut it out. Reddish-brown-haired man listens intently, his expression unreadable as the conversation unfolds around him. The scene fades into a soft, ethereal light, hinting at a shift in location or time. The reddish-brown-haired man sits calmly, his eyes closed, seemingly lost in thought or meditation. The purple-haired woman silences the gathering, announcing the commencement of mana measurement. Reddish-brown-haired man sharply calls out to them, catching Lily Lowell by surprise. The reddish-brown-haired man stands confidently, a slight smirk playing on his lips as the red-haired woman observes from behind. The reddish-brown-haired man utters Oscar's name, a hint of something deeper in his tone. Oscar, taken aback, questions what the reddish-brown-haired man is talking about. The reddish-brown-haired man warns Oscar not to play dumb, asserting that he knows Oscar's secret. Looking up at the night sky, Oscar reflects on the reddish-brown-haired man's move to reserve the training grounds. Oscar, standing over the downed reddish-brown-haired man, demands to know what secret he is referring to. Reddish-brown-haired man's face contorts in a mixture of shock and anger, his eyes wide with disbelief. His expression remains frozen in stunned disbelief, the weight of Oscar's words clearly impacting him. Oscar's eyes glow with an intense blue energy as he declares, "The power I used to defeat that dragon." Turning the accusation back, Elder Chun challenges Oscar, "You were given power too, weren't you?" Oscar's eyes widen in confusion. "What on earth are you talking about?" A beat of silence hangs in the air, the tension palpable between the two men. Elder Chen's jaw tightens, a vein throbbing in his temple as his frustration boils over. His voice raw with fury, Elder Chen screams, "Even now, do you intend to make a fool of me?" As a sinister purple aura engulfs his hand, Elder Chun roars, "Every single one of you treats me like an idiot." His arm grotesquely distorts, transforming into a monstrous, clawed limb that crackles with dark, volatile energy. Oscar's eyes widen in pure horror, a gasp caught in his throat as he witnesses the grotesque change. Silent exclamation mark of disbelief hangs over Oscar as he struggles to comprehend the sudden, terrifying display of power. A guttural groan echoes through the night, ugh, ugh, as Elder Chun wrestles with his newfound, agonizing power. Elder Chun, his face contorted in fear and pain, cries out, "I don't know, I wasn't told about." The monstrous arm flares with raw, uncontrolled purple energy, spikes erupting as Elder Chun screams in agony. Jagged shards of dark energy pierce the air, a testament to the chaotic power unleashed. Oscar, the brown-haired man, and the reddish-brown-haired man scramble away, escaping the volatile purple energy spreading rapidly. Elder Chun clutches his transforming arm, his face a mask of anguish as the power consumes him. Through his torment, Elder Chun repeats his accusation, "You were given power too." A chilling realization dawns on Oscar, his eyes widening as he whispers, "Could it be?" A bead of sweat trickles down Oscar's temple, the weight of his dawning comprehension heavy upon him. Overwhelmed by despair, Elder Chun laments, "Is everything my fault, every last bit of it? What's so wrong with trying to survive on my own? If only I had power." A fleeting memory flashes, showing Elder Chun, Lily Lowell, the brown-haired man, and the dark-haired man smiling brightly, a stark contrast to the current grim reality. Oscar's mind echoes with a somber thought, "Really?" Tears stream down Elder Chen's face as he desperately tries to explain, "I truly intended." Oscar's expression hardens, his blue-gray eyes narrowing with unwavering resolve. With a sudden burst of speed, Oscar lunges forward, his movements swift and decisive. Oscar lands silently in a combat crouch, his eyes fixed on Elder Chun, who continues to writhe with the uncontrolled power. Grabbing Elder Chen's shoulder with a firm grip, Oscar confronts him, "You!" Oscar's strength pins Elder Chen's monstrous arm firmly to the ground, neutralizing its immediate threat. Oscar's hand gently rests on Elder Chen's head, who now lies still, the chaotic energy subsiding. Kneeling over the unconscious Elder Chun, Oscar murmurs with a hint of anger, "To toy with people like this?" Oscar's jaw tightens, his mouth opening in a fierce shout, ready to confront the unseen manipulators. Oscar turns to the dark, ominous forest and bellows, "Come out!" High above, a shadowy figure descends, cracks appearing in the very fabric of reality around them as they reveal themselves. The silver-haired eye-patch official, a sinister grin playing on his lips, holds dark, metallic wires, his presence exuding an aura of cold menace. Long before this confrontation, students dedicated themselves to rigorous after-school training. Yet, a tragic incident unfolded when one student's power spiraled catastrophically out of control. This devastating accident resulted in the gruesome death of a young man, extinguishing a bright future in an instant. Now, Oscar stands transformed, his form wreathed in dark, crackling energy, a stark contrast to the tragic past. Observing the raw display of power, the silver-haired eye-patch official remarks with disdain, finding the scene utterly barbaric. Oscar, his gaze sharp and unwavering, defiantly declares his intention to bring the official to his knees. The battle rages as Oscar, surrounded by menacing red-glowing wolf familiars, prepares to unleash his fury. A guttural scream tears from Oscar's throat as he grapples with the monstrous familiars, their own savage roars echoing through the arena. A past lesson from Elder Chun explains the dark art, carving magic formulas into monster corpses to manipulate them as puppets. Elder Chun continues, revealing a critical weakness. There's a strict limit to the number of familiars that can be controlled. The only viable strategy, he concludes, is to systematically destroy each familiar. Elder Chun warns Oscar, acknowledging his opponent's formidable magic saint level, hinting at hidden powers yet to be revealed. Oscar, acknowledging Elder Chun's wisdom, reveals that destroying the familiars was his plan all along, his resolve unshakable. Yet, a flicker of doubt or a new realization crosses Oscar's mind as he glances at the fallen figure, a silent but hanging in the air. Silver-haired eyepatch official taunts Oscar, questioning his anger and asking if he fights for Levin. Oscar, on one knee, meets the official's gaze with defiant pride, asking if there's an issue with his loyalty. The silver-haired eyepatch official scoffs, dismissing Oscar's bond with Levin as insignificant, formed only during a single field training session. He continues his verbal assault, cruelly reminding Oscar that Levin views him as nothing more than a commoner enemy. Oscar's face is shadowed, his expression unreadable as the official's words cut deep, stirring a storm within him. The official's imposing, armored uniform reinforces his authority and the vast power he wields. With renewed fury, Oscar declares his unwavering resolve, vowing no forgiveness for those who exploit another's earnest desire for strength. Suddenly, Oscar's magical emblem shatters, its intricate patterns cracking under an unseen force. A close-up reveals the insidious source, a metallic claw-like extension on the official's glove, subtly interfering with Oscar's magic. Oscar's eyes widen in shock as he realizes the impossible. His magic formulas are failing, unable to properly construct themselves. Silver-haired eyepatch official turns away, coldly stating his agenda, to eliminate any talented commoners. He glances back, revealing his twisted recognition of Oscar's talent, which is precisely why he targeted him. Oscar struggles, enveloped in purple energy, as the official reveals his meticulous preparations to neutralize such threats. Oscar's hand reaches out, surrounded by the strange aura, as he deduces the truth. The familiars are draining his mana and disrupting his magic. The silver-haired eyepatch official, observing Oscar, remarks with a smug grin that he had already anticipated Oscar would be capable of at least this much. The massive, shadowy familiars loom, their silent presence a constant drain on Oscar's power. The silver-haired eyepatch official explains that while neither of them can draw new magic formulas in this distorted space, his advantage remains. He continues, stating that the magic formulas already carved into his familiars will continue to operate, a critical revelation that Oscar processes with a concerned expression. Underneath the colossal, tentacled familiar, the silver-haired eyepatch official declares that their final lecture commences now, a lesson Oscar will take with him to the afterlife. His eyes narrow, a surge of realization hitting him as he understands the full scope of the predicament. The mana-draining familiars were the key to their overwhelming victories. He clenches his fist, a determined resolve hardening his features, thinking of the humiliation of being stripped of his magic. Turning to face the silver-haired eyepatch official and his monstrous familiar, Oscar prepares to deliver a counter, declaring, "Let me give you